Job, pros need the best prices. That's why only at Lowe's, MVP's Pro Rewards members can get a volume discount on eligible orders as low as $1,500 at the Pro Desk. That means you get the prices you need to start any job, small or large. Because Lowe's knows pros. Valid in-store only. More terms and restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/terms or Pro Desk for details.
I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect that of the staff and management of Good Karma Brands, but are the sole responsibility of the hosts and guests of this particular show.
America may have many, many days, but they will be full of trouble. There will be no rest. There will be no tranquility in this country until the nation comes to terms with our problems.
Bringing you social and political commentary from his mouth to your ears, breaking down the issues which matter to you.
You are not put here to be a white man's footstool. You are put here to represent the very best in God's word.
Legendary civil rights icon, the Reverend Jesse Jackson in the studio. Reverend Jackson, how are you?
Mr. Sherwin, good morning on this chilly Milwaukee morning.
And I am pleased to have one of the founding members of the Black Panther Party, Chairman Bobby Seale. Mr. Chairman, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing just fine. Thank you.
From Mr. Eric Holder. Mr. Holder, so good to see you. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, man. How you been? It's been a long time. Haven't seen you for a while.
The Dr. Cornell West. Dr. West, how are you, sir?
My dear brother, you're so kind, you're so generous, though, man. But I salute you and the work that you were doing there. Doing a magnificent job there in Wisconsin.
Stream live on 1017thetruth.com. Call in with your questions or comments. 833-212-1017. Join us on social media at 1017 The Truth. It may not be what you expect to hear, but I will definitely give you what you need to know. Are you ready for the truth?
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is Sherwin Hughes.
Good morning and welcome to the program. Today is Friday, October 4th, 2024. Be rest assured, Wisconsinites, Kamala Harris is hanging on to her 4-point lead here in the Badger State. I don't believe there's anything that Donald Trump or his campaign can do. I don't think there's any information that they could release, and it'll probably be made up, that would fit the definition of an October surprise that will make Kamala Harris's lead diminish. Now, it's not a tremendous lead, but I think it is enough. I believe the election is over. If you just look at the simplest way you can look at it, we know what Donald Trump was. We know what he did. We know why he wants to run again. We know how much trouble he's in. We know he has a sentencing coming up in November. We know all of those things. And I think at the end of the day, when people go and have that solitary moment when they're alone with their ballot, and whether they vote by mail or they vote in person absentee, or they're going to do like a lot of us are going to do on Tuesday, November 5th, we're going to go in person, I think people are going to make the right decision. There's a lot more at stake than people may realize. It is literally the future and the direction of this country. And when given such a dire set of circumstances, I believe that people are going to make the right decision. And so that's why I said some time ago that I believe the election is over. Doesn't mean that we're not going to still argue and debate about the issues, but the support for Donald Trump it's symbolic. They support him because, well, I like the way he speaks, or he tells it like it is, or, he's not one of those career politicians. It's like people have to make up some kind of like fairy tale about him, that he fits some kind of narrative that makes them feel good or feel better about something. And it's just not. It isn't real, because if you really just pin down a Trump supporter and ask them why they support him, they like the fact that he exudes power. He commands attention in a room. He bosses around and bullies other world leaders. Like, they like that about him, which shows a subservience and a submission and an insecurity in them. He's daddy. His strong leadership is what he is. Has nothing to do with the policies he's going to make. Doesn't matter if he wanted to overturn Roe versus Wade and brag about it. He comes in the room and he's a strong fella. And people like that. But then there's the rest of the country, the critical thinking, free-minded people that say, no, we need a leader that is actually going to do things and help people, even if it's just being more optimistic. Trump doesn't even laugh. Have you ever seen Donald Trump laugh? And even when he smiles, his smile is fake. You know, we've gone down the wrong direction in this country when they try and make Kamala Harris the bad person for laughing. So the election, in my opinion, it's over. We still have a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of phone calls to make. You're probably going to get a whole bunch more text messages. There's going to be people knocking on your door in the next couple of weeks, especially if you live in certain parts of the city of Milwaukee where voter turnout is, let's just say, inconsistent. There's going to be people knocking on your door. They're going to be leaving literature and flyers. Some of them are going to tell you where you vote. They're going to tell you about your polling location. Some of them are going to ask you if you are registered. A lot of you are not registered. A lot of you think you're registered, but you're not. If you moved, and a lot of you have moved in the last 4 years or the last 2 years, or you've moved since you voted last, you are not a registered voter at your current address unless you register to vote with your current address. If you have not voted in a period of time, I think it's 10 years, maybe it's less than that, they are going to remove you from the voter rolls if you have not cast a ballot in that amount of time. So there is still work to do. And here's what the problem is a lot of times. Someone may have voted, I don't know how many years ago, and they moved a couple of times. And their address on their identification says one address, but they don't live at the address that's on their identification, because who likes to go to the DMV? I don't like to go to the DMV. The DMV takes all of my energy, even though it is better than it used to be. Do y'all remember the DMV in the 90s? Yeah, of course you do. It was a war zone. Not that I want to minimize the damage from the most recent hurricane. Helene, I think the hurricane's name is, very bad, a lot of water and rain. It was windy, trees and electricity and all of the stuff, bad stuff happened. That's what the DMV used to look like. Walking into the DMV in the early or mid-1990s, immediately you would hear yelling, you would hear screaming, someone's running around naked, there's babies crying, there's a mysterious amount of blood on the wall, there's explosions going off, and that's just what the DMV was. It was a war zone. You'd have to wear a flak jacket and a bulletproof helmet to go into the DMV. Nobody likes to go there. Now, they've changed the system now. It's very orderly now. They call your number out like it's bingo, B24. I-15. But I still have flashbacks from the DMV back in the day where it was a very dangerous place. But the DMV also gives you a perspective that I think we all need to get every now and again. It shows you the people that you share the road with. There has not been a time, and I've been to the DMV a lot, enough, put it that way. If I've gone 5 times in the last 20 years, that's an overabundance. And every time I have gone, I always come away with one thing. Well, 2 things. I'm glad I left with my life. That's the first thing. The second thing is I don't want to share the road with some of you. Some of you just look like unfit drivers. And I'm not saying this to be mean or to be stereotypical, but look at what's going on right now in the city of Milwaukee when it comes to the driving in the roads and the reckless in the drivings. Y'all better be so happy I'm not a cop. I would pull so many of y'all over. You have no idea. I would profile like the best of them. Because I can tell. Can't you just tell? And officers that may be listening to this show in your squad cars, probably the black ones, not the white ones. I totally understand if you just want to pull over that car. Well, they have so much junk in the back seat they can't even see out of the rear glass. I get it. Some people just got to be pulled over. However, I digress. Some of you will have to experience the DMV so you can go and get your identification and your address changed and updated. Because technically they can give you a ticket for that if your identification does not reflect where you live. And so a lot of folks may not know the rules of voting and registering to vote because maybe they voted for something relatively recent. They voted for governor in 2022, voted for Tony Evers, right? Or they voted for Tim Michels. But they have since moved, and they know where their polling location is in the address in which they live now. Let's say they moved in early 2024. They moved in January of this year. Last time they voted, it was in 2022, and they lived off of Capitol. Now it's 2024, and they live off of the Burleigh. Well, they may go and vote at the polling location that corresponds to their current address. And then they're going to present their ID. They're going to say their name. They're going to tell the poll worker their address, and they're not going to be listed in the poll book. And here's what happens. A lot of times people won't re-register, or they will not go to the previous polling location that they voted at. They're just going to go home. That is how we lose a number of voters, because people do not know that their registration has changed because they've moved, they haven't voted in a while, and a lot of folks don't take the time to go and either vote at the previous location that they voted at or get all of their identification information updated. So we lose a tremendous amount of voters. There's a lot of money being spent. There's going to be a lot of outreach, but I don't think that we spend enough on that, on informing people the very specific rules that you have to follow as far as being a registered voter. And I think we may lose some votes that way. So enough about that. I got some things I want to talk about today. Oh, we got a caller calling in 11 o'clock. Her name is Olivia Troy. She was a former national security advisor working underneath former Vice President Mike Pence. Olivia Troy also spoke at the DNC. You may find that unusual, being that she was appointed and served in the Trump-Pence administration. Well, she admitted and said she is not only is she not supporting Donald Trump, she voted for Joe Biden in 2020, and she is warning people how bad and how dangerous and how incredibly unhinged Donald Trump is. And this is coming from a woman who is a Republican who even served back in the George W. Bush administration. So this woman, Olivia Troy, is a lifelong Republican, but she's just had enough. She's seen enough, and she believes that Donald Trump is dangerous. And this is coming from someone that actually worked in the Trump-Pence administration. So we're talking to Olivia at about 11 o'clock, give or take. But in the meantime, I'd like to do a couple of things. I felt incomplete yesterday because I did not fully, we were all over the place yesterday, weren't we? We were all left, right, up, down, sideways, crooked, kitty corner. We were all over the place. But there's this thing that is brewing and has been brewing in the United States for a considerable period of time. It is anti-government extremism that comes from the political far right. And there's a bunch of different forms of them, and they've always existed. It's the reactionary groups. It used to be neo-Nazi skinheads, and it's the KKK, and it's the Proud Boys. These coalitions, these cohorts of people that hate the government, they're very nationalistic in their politics. It's America first, and they determine who is and who is not American. They think the federal government is too big, and they have used terror for decades to accomplish their political goals. These individuals are terrorists, but it's interesting because they love America, but they hate the government, because they think the government is either too big, too powerful, too intrusive in their lives, or the government gives too many opportunities to quote-unquote non-Americans. So they hate the government. If they were to vote, or if they were to be politically affiliated, they would vote for far-right candidates. But we haven't really had any candidates that far-right that would appease these kinds of people. Enter Donald Trump. Yesterday, we briefly touched on some of the issues with the Patriot Act. To condense that down very quickly, the Patriot Act is a significant piece of legislation that allows the federal government and all of its agencies to spy on anyone with very little probable cause without having to get a warrant from a judge, allowing federal agencies and the federal government to spy on you or anyone else that they have some inkling you may be involved in nefarious terrorist activities or something that could be a compromise to national security. Because of what happened on September 11, 2001, we panicked. We freaked out. Oh, my God, how can this happen? And because the nation, including Congress, was so panicked and so freaked out, we decided to give the executive branch dramatically more power to keep us safe. And it wasn't just because of what happened on September 11th. There had been these escalating series of events, and I have them going back to April of 1995 when Timothy McVeigh bombed the federal building in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Like, he was just one of hundreds of anti-American government extremists that literally wanted to kill people and destroy the United States from within, okay? There's more terrorism in the United States impacting us daily than there is terrorist groups outside of the United States seeking to inflict harm on us. So I kind of want to finish that conversation so we can have a much better perspective of how wonderful America actually is. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation!
And all our juicy jammers out there.
Make certain that you tap into Jam with Juice each and every day so you can quench your thirst.
That is right. You already know you can sip on us every single day, like Benjamin said, from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. But that's not all, y'all.
Catch us exclusively on YouTube for our 6 to 7 show.
Yep, only on Thursdays.
Catch Jamming with Juice each and every day on 101.7 The Truth.
Now sip on that.
Republican Senate candidate Eric Hovde showed up to the Milwaukee Juneteenth Festival. He said he was having a good time.
I'm here having fun. This is one heck of a party.
But then Eric Hovde was asked if there was anything he was going to take away about black culture. Hovde's answer?
Look, I've spent a lot of time in black culture. I've spent a lot of time in places like Africa because I have homeless shelters.
Run that back for me? Eric Hovde is asked about black culture, and the first thing that comes to mind is taking trips to Africa and homeless shelters? Hovde's comments were called, quote, ignorant, and they reek of stereotype and white paternalism. But when Eric Hovde was asked about the criticism, he said, do I have to respond to the stupidity of that question? Eric Hovde.
I've spent a lot of time in places like Africa.
What's wrong with this guy?
I'm Tammy Baldwin, running for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Tammy Baldwin for Senate.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion, or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When you've been injured, you need a winning team on your side. Gruber Law Offices will fight for the results you deserve. Call Gruber Law Offices today, a proud partner of your Milwaukee Brewers. One call, that's all.
The CBS 58 News at 10 with Natalie Shepard.
We are focused on finding stories that are impactful.
And Jessup Riceback.
We do find solutions to some issues in our communities.
Weeknights at 10 on CBS 58, your hometown station.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The phone number here, if you want to call it or text it or call it, 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. Rachel says, hi, Sherwin. Hi, Rachel. Rachel says, I'm hopeful, but I'm worried about a repeat of 2016, and the lead won't translate to the Electoral College. Any thoughts? Well, there's always that possibility we could have a repeat where the Democrats who believe they have the right candidate at the right time and have the issues. But I can't recall the issues in 2016 being as severe and consequential as the issues are right now. And there's a lot of pressure on African Americans. We're freaking out about the number of African Americans, most likely African American men, that are Donald Trump supporters. And there's some here, which, whatever, everybody has their own preference and why they vote and whatever the case may be. But there's so much pressure on the African American vote, which, when you think about it, is pretty much maxed out for the Democrats. Now, there's always going to be some fluctuation. We're not always going to be 90+% for the Democrats, but we're always going to be above 80. In fact, I don't think that African American support for Democrats has fallen below 80% since 1960. So we are doing our part. The reason why there's so much more pressure put on African Americans to vote for Democrats is because we don't hold responsible the white people that still vote for Republicans that have no good damn reason to, including white women. This election will be determined by white women who have voted in the interest of their skin color and not the interest of their gender. That is who will lose this election. They have been targeted. Some of them have died. They have been denied reproductive care. They're essentially just a uterus to be used for political gain for white men's power in this country. And if they can't see that voting for Donald Trump further reduces their humanity, then there's nothing that we can do about it. But what they try and do in this country is they try to put the blame on black people. Well, you know, the blacks that are voting for Trump, which, okay, I got an issue with that too. But you're going to have millions and millions of white women that voted their way into this current situation that impacts not just their reproductive health, their daughters, their granddaughters, the women they go to church with, the women that they work with. It's a heavy responsibility. And here's the thing. Most white women are still going to vote for Donald Trump. I remember talking to a friend recently. She's like, Sherwin, I don't think that I have any. This is a white woman, obviously. Sherwin, I don't think that I have any friends that vote for Donald Trump. Yes, you do. She's just not going to tell you. Sometimes women can be masters at deception. Isn't that what hair and makeup is? No, it's not. Well, I'm just saying, they can be very deceptive. It might even be some black women that's going to vote for Donald Trump, but not a lot. But if white women decide that the future of reproductive health care is any kind of a priority, because I know how men would vote. If there was a cohort of women in this country that try to put any kind of rule or any kind of restriction on men's reproduction, reproductive rights, reproductive health care, we would burn the country down. We would just set it all on fire. There wouldn't even be an election. Whenever I just take the time to step back and think about how men would react if women like coalesced and took something away from us just because they didn't like it or they wanted to have much more control over something as sacred, personal, and private as our bodies. Oh, what a disaster it would be. And here's what's crazy. Women have the numeric power to do that. Women outvote men and they outlive us. So not only could women coalesce with one another, vote for a slate of candidates that could do institutional and structural harm to men, women will be around longer to see the damage that they do to men over years, decades, and generations. Isn't that crazy? There are these systems of control that are very covertly planted all throughout American society. And some of that is getting African Americans to vote for Republicans, even though it's against our best interests. When Donald Trump said he wants the police to basically have immunity for an hour where they do really bad things and they do very terrible things, and then word would get out of all these terrible things that the police could do in this hour in which they have immunity. And Donald Trump said that's how we're going to stop crime, because word would spread about these horrible things that he would let the police do to citizens in this country. If you are black, one of your issues should be, some realistic police reform, not going in the total opposite direction and giving police more extrajudicial latitude. But there are these systems of control, and some of those controls are telling white women that you vote for Republicans because your skin color will get you much further, give you much more opportunity, give you much more privilege. It'll keep you safer. Women are worried about not being safe. That white skin is like a force field, ain't it? It's like an atmosphere around them. But at the same time, that gender part makes them minorities, even though they are majority in number. I've been reading this book. I can't put it down. And I didn't prepare a show today like I normally do. I usually have a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I still got stuff. We have our interview with Olivia Troy at 11 o'clock, but that's not for an hour and a half. I mean, I got a little feel-good, fluffy little story that says Milwaukee is one of the friendliest cities in the country. That's hogwash. I think we just are nice to people from out of town because we want them to come back. We want them to shop at our stores and support our businesses. We want out-of-towners to go places and to shop and to spend money where locals don't. That makes sense to y'all? You'll have somebody that'll come here from D.C., from Atlanta. Where do people come from? They come from all over the country to come to Milwaukee. They come to, I don't know, events here, conferences here. We have a lot of conferences here. We have a lot of conventions here, so people come from all over the place. And a lot of times, black people in particular, when they come to the city of Milwaukee, they want to shop at the black store. They want to go to the black business. They want to go to the black restaurants. They literally ask, like, hey, because in our town, in our city, wherever they're from, Baltimore, or Cleveland, or Sacramento, or Oakland, they have black businesses there that they say they support. But when they come to Milwaukee for the first time, like, they make it a mission. They want to support the black-owned businesses in this town. And we send them. We tell them, you want a black restaurant? Here, go here, here, and here. But we as locals sometimes don't go there because of the history we may have with some businesses in our own community. Ain't that crazy? So I love it when out-of-towners ask me, hey, Sherwin, where's the black shop and the black store and the black place where I can get candles made by black ladies and all of the things that the black people make in a black bookstore? Oh, I got a whole list of places that I would send you that I don't necessarily go. Is this person's name spelled correctly, Rick? Epiphany?
Places that I would send you.
Gotta turn your radio off, Epiphany.
Is this person's name spelled correctly?
Excuse me?
Epiphany?
Oh. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Okay. Yes.
Turn your radio off. Off. Down.
Sorry. Yes, I only wanted to just give you, Sherwin, your flowers, just because that you speak the truth. And that's what we need, just the honesty. Even as a man, you can, most men won't say the things that you say. And hearing what you're talking about this morning, it really is inspiring. That, okay, some people get it. There's a lot of us that don't get it, but some of us do, and I just want to tell you that thank you for saying the things that other people will not say or be honest about.
Thank you.
Being a real one. All righty. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, Epiphany. I appreciate that. That's very nice. Oh, and she hung up. Well, she ain't going to like what I'm going to talk about soon. I'm debating whether I should talk about this. So you guys have heard of the Willie Lynch letter because I've read it before. I read it at several different radio stations. It's not real. It's fictitious. It was designed to provoke African Americans because it sounds like or seems like or was made to be themed after a fictional slave owner that trains other slave owners in how you essentially create a slave from a free, strong, independent thinking African who was stolen from their land, their people, their language, their food, and their culture. Okay? Put together a manuscript, but it wasn't real. It was written in the 1970s, and it was designed to get people really upset about how they looked at black humanity. Well, there's a real manuscript, a real text that takes ideas, or there's ideas from this original manuscript, this original text, and the Willie Lynch letter was a condensed version of that, but fictionalized, you see. Well, I have the nonfiction version, and I found it, what's today, Friday? on Wednesdays, 290 pages, and I cannot stop reading it. So when I came in this morning, I, of course, wanted to survey the news outlets and the media outlets to see what stories would be relevant or what would be interesting to talk to. But I read another 30 pages of this particular manuscript. So this is the precursor to the Willie Lynch letter, if you will, but this is an actual real 290-page book that was published in 1842 by Reverend Dr. Charles Cocock Jones. That is his name, white guy, plantation owner from North Carolina. He creates in this almost 300-page book, and it's called The Religious Instruction of the Negroes in the United States. And it was written and published in 1842. And it is petrifying because it is actually real. Every now and again, religion will come up on this program. In fact, if Lisa calls, it'll come up every day. And how African Americans, in fact, 1 in 3 of us adhere to some kind of religion, mostly Christianity. This book that was published by Reverend Dr. Charles C. Jones explains how missionaries like himself, but he also was a slave owner and plantation owner, how they used religion to indoctrinate us, not to get us closer to God, not because Christianity is the way, because it makes us better and more subservient slaves. And this is the manuscript on how you do it. And here's what's crazy. For something that was written and published in 1842, my man has data. My man has statistics. My man took the census counts from 1790 on. My man talks about how many slaves died in the Revolutionary War. My man talks about the number of slaves in each colony and how the numbers just exploded, and how if they didn't find a uniform way to indoctrinate these slaves, these slave masters and plantation owners would have a major problem on their hands. So they created this institution they could just bludgeon the slaves with to make them much more easy to deal with, work with. They would become more docile, and they could get a tremendous amount of labor from them. And of course, other plantation owners who were dealing with rebellion, dealing with runaway slaves, having a very big problem. In fact, in some of the states, even in the Northeast, New Hampshire, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all of them had slaves. They needed a system in which they could have more control over the subjects that they owned. And it was religion. And I cannot put this book down. I can't. I'm trying. I can't. I'm just drawn to it because it thoroughly explains why we still to this day as black people adhere to Christianity even more so than the white folks do. They are masters, literally, at creating these durable institutions that withstand the test of time. It is why Republicans and the conservatives, that's why they love the courts. They love judges. It is why they vote the way they do. But they're also very patient. They've waited 50 years to overturn Roe because they put the little pieces together day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, election by election, so that they can create these systems of durable control that will outlast them. Even when the white people in this country, are long deep in the minority, they have been working on creating these systems of control that we and others like us will do their bidding even after they're dead. It's genius. Problem is, we're victims of it. I got to read you some of it. I'm not going to read. I would sit here. I promise you I would read all 290 pages just so this show could be used sometime in the future for like a history class. This book, it's required reading for all of you. All of you. I don't care what your race is. I don't care what your religion is. You need to know how they use religion, Christianity, and the Bible, and how they dispatch missionaries all throughout the colonies to make sure that black slaves were Christian and that we remain so. And as long as we remain Christian, we will be in a subservient situation. And this is the original book written in 1842, because prior to 1842, they were having some problems. It was just kind of inconsistent. Now, some plantation owners they had a way in which they could maintain and dominate with control. A lot of times it was power, it was abuse, a little bit of murder every now and again. You can always subjugate women with rape, so that worked out very well. And then when slave women had babies because they feared for the safety and the longevity of their children, they would indoctrinate their children on behalf of the slave master. So that part was taken care of when it comes to the women. But the men, a little bit different. You needed a different kind of system. And religion, they found Christianity in particular, worked beautifully, and dare I say it still works to this day. So I'll read a little bit of it, but y'all gonna have to tell me to stop because I'll read this thing till my show goes off. The book is called The Religious Instruction of the Negroes in the United States, written by Reverend Dr. Charles C. Jones, published by Thomas Peirce in the year of our Lord 1842. So I'm gonna take a break, come back, and I'll read a little bit of it. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Milwaukee Health Services Incorporated is celebrating 35 years of serving all income and medically underserved populations of Milwaukee's metropolitan area. MHSI is a one-stop shop that provides medical, radiology, dental, pediatric, behavioral health, pharmacies with affordable medications, and more. Also, MHSI's new family medicine residency program, located at the Isaac Cobbs Heritage Health Center, has brought 28 family doctors to our area, which is significantly impacted by healthcare workforce shortages. Become a new patient today. To schedule an appointment, call 414-372-8080. Your health is their business.
It's 101.7 The Truth. This is Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Get the look you want for your home with customizable windows and doors from Pella. The durability of materials gets tested. They open and close doors, latches, and shades tens of thousands of times. That's to ensure they last for years to come. Pella offers custom colors and innovative features like shades between the glass. Right now, get 0% interest up to 36 months. Certain restrictions apply. Ends October 31st. Get started today at PellaWI.com.
It's time for Truth Takes, a thought-provoking commentary on the new 101.7 The Truth. Here is Tory Lowe with his truth.
Breaking news, Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office is investigating the death of 43-year-old Devontae L. Mitchell outside of the Hyatt Regency on Sunday as a homicide. Breaking news, a Milwaukee mother is speaking out after her 17-year-old daughter, Amira Wallace, was shot and killed at Milwaukee's Deneen Park. This happened just after midnight on July 22nd. Breaking news. According to a sheriff's office report, Sean Grayson said he shot Sonia Massey after fearing she would throw boiling water at him, which would have caused great bodily harm or death. Breaking news. Body cam video shows fatal police shooting of 4-year-old Illinois boy and man holding him hostage. Police responding to a domestic violence call shot a 4-year-old named Terrell Marshawn Miller and his mother's boyfriend. Now that I have your attention, these are families that are more than just a news story. These are families who are hurting. These are families that are searching for justice. As a community, it's our duty to get involved and make sure we do our part to make sure that these families receive the justice that they're searching for. Today, it's their families in the news. Tomorrow is yours. This is why it's important for us to make sure that we stay on the front lines and make sure that we do our part to help change what's going on in our neighborhood. Whether it's police brutality, whether it's senseless violence, whether it's human trafficking, we all can do our part and help each and every family that's affected negatively in our communities get justice.
This has been Truth Takes on the new 101.7 The Truth. Listen to The Tory Lowe Show, weekdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
The book is called The Religious Instruction of the Negroes in the United States by Charles C. I gotta say his middle name right. Cold cock. Is that where that came from? When you cold cock somebody? Like, I always knew that as when you punch somebody, it's like a slang term for punching somebody. That's his middle name. Charles Colcock Jones. Reverend Dr. Charles Colcock Jones. And this book was published in 1842. All right. And what is all this? Oh, this is all the preface. Here we go. The preparation of the following pages has been undertaken at the suggestion of friends, seconded by the convictions of my own mind that a small volume on the religious instruction of the Negroes in the United States would not be an unacceptable offering to the public, and especially the Christian public at the present time. Whatever I have before prepared or published on the subject has been freely used whenever it has suited my purpose in the present composition. I have endeavored to confine myself to the religious instruction of the Negroes and have touched upon other subjects only when it has been necessary for the illustration or support of the one before me. I commend the book to the candid consideration of those who read it. My design has been able to speak truth plainly in love and do good. May the blessing of Almighty God attend the effort. And he wrote that in Riceboro, which is in Liberty County, Georgia, on the 4th of July in 1842. Part 1, the historical sketch of the religious instruction of the Negro from their first introduction into the country in 1620 until the year 1842, divided in 3 periods. The first period, from their introduction in 1620 to the first census in 1790, a period of 170 years. The second period, from the first census in 1790 to 1820, a period of 30 years. And the third period, from 1820 to 1842, a period of 22 years. So he goes basically year by year in the changing social climate of the colonies, and as more and more and more slaves, like the number of slaves that were brought here, it didn't just double, it went up exponentially. And in most of the northeastern colonies, which consequently outlawed slavery first, slaves outnumbered people like 10 to 1. So you have to have a system of control, because if you have a majority population, like 10 times more slaves than you have masters or white people in the colonies, if you don't have a system of control, they're going to kill you. Not only are they going to kill you, they're going to take your land. They're going to take your money. They're going to assume power in all of the institutions because there's just so many more of them. So when you figure out a way to make docile and to indoctrinate and to make submissive and subservient a majority population, you have the formula for the 1%. Dare I say, this same formula that takes a population, slaves, that is a majority in number, like they were in the colonies because they had to be. Slaves performed the labor. We weren't just planting stuff and picking stuff. We did everything. Because if you think about it, once the seeds are in the ground and there's nothing to harvest for a period of time, you think the slaves was just chilling, drinking mint juleps? No! We were putting shoes on horses, building roads, dwellings, barns, you name it, we were doing it. That's why they needed, imagine the entire workforce of a city that was enslaved. Just so the owners and the CEOs could chill. Think about a big company, right? A big one, Northwestern Mutual, Johnson Controls, Rockwell Automation. Think about how many people work in those buildings and in the subsidiaries that feed those large industries, right? Then think about how many people are in the board of directors. 7. How many CEOs? 1. How many COOs? 1. How many CFOs? 1. But you may have hundreds or thousands of people laboring in different aspects. Some people are doing accounting. Some people are on the front line. Some people are doing customer service. Some people are booking travel for the CEOs, et cetera. So you have all of these other people that are supporting the leisurely lifestyle of maybe 20 people in a company of 20,000. So once you figure out how do you control majority population, how do you control your workers, more importantly, how do you control women? Because if women outnumber men, if there's not a system of subordination thrust into women, then they're just going to own and take everything from men, and we certainly can't have that. So this text, dare I say, The Religious Instruction of the Negro, published in 1842, is more than a manuscript by a plantation owner that wanted to have a uniform process for how you make a group of savages subservient. It has been used and manipulated to make any group of people subservient to another. The first period, from the first introduction in 1620 to the first census in 1790, a period of 170 years. Such is the scarcity of materials and the difficulty of arriving at the scattered sources of information that I have called the following historical notice of the religious instruction of the Negroes in the United States, quote, a sketch. It deserves no better name, although perhaps it may embody the principal facts on the subject. For the sake of prospicuity, so prospicuity is like the wanting to make money. So for the sake of prospicuity, wanting to make money, the sketch is divided into periods of time. The first period is extending from the introduction of the Negroes into the country in 1620 to the first census in 1790, a period of 170 years. The second period from 1790 to 1820, a period of 30 years. And the third period from 1820 to 1842, a period of 22 years. Number one, account of the introduction of Negroes into the colonies under the government of Great Britain. It was in the year 1501 that Isabella of Spain granted permission for the introduction of Negroes into Hispaniola, but only such as had been born in Spain or in slavery among Christians, and in the following year a few had been sent to the New World. In 1508, the Spaniards opened a direct trade in slaves and imported Negroes into Hispaniola. So that's Hispaniola is the Dominican Republic, and what's the other? And the other country on the side, Hispaniola. The DR and, I don't know, I can't think of it, whatever, I got too much in my head. In 1508, the Spaniards opened a direct trade in slaves and imported Negroes to Hispaniola from the Portuguese settlements on the coast of Guinea. Ferdinand V, by royal ordinance, enjoined a direct traffic in slaves between Guinea and Hispaniola in 1511, and Charles V between 1512 and 1513. In 1517, Charles V granted a patent to one of his Flemish favorites containing an executive right of importing slaves, 4,000 annually into Hispaniola, also Cuba, Jamaica, and Puerto Rico. This favorite sold his patent to some Genovese merchants for 25,000 ducats. I never knew where ducats came from. We used to say ducats as a slang for dollars, and now it's in the religious indoctrination of the Negro. This favorite sold his patent to some Genovese merchants for 25,000 ducats, and they were the first who brought into regular form that commerce for slaves between Africa and America, which has since been carried on under such revolting circumstances and to an amazing extent. 45 years after, in 1562 and 1563, the English entered the slave trade under Sir John Hawkins and carried Negroes from Africa to Hispaniola. And in 1567, Queen Elizabeth I protected and shared that traffic. Thus, the mother country was engaged in the traffic 45 years before the first permanent settlement was made in her American colonies, which was at Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. The Dutch, in common with other maritime nations of Europe, engaged in the trade, and a man-o'-war of that nation from the coast of Guinea in August of 1620, 4 months before Plymouth colony arrived in Massachusetts, landed 20 Negroes for sale in the colony of Virginia on James River, which determines the epoch of their introduction into the colonies. I'm going to pause there and come back, take a break. Reading bits and pieces from the religious instruction of the Negroes in the United States. I really would love to read this entire thing, but then my radio show would be nothing more than an audio book. But like this should be required reading for like 8th graders so that they know and can identify these systems and institutions that they will see as they get older and be able to figure out like, wait a minute, like this stuff was all written about in a book in 1842. But if they don't want this book published or shared, then black people's plight will always be sealed. They'll never know what actually happened to us. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, join us live for the Truth Summit on Saturday, October 26th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the 3rd Street Market Hall. This exclusive in-person roundtable will examine the state of finances, education, and politics for Black Milwaukee. Dr. Ken Harris will be joined by expert guests for a lively debate and insights that you can't afford to miss. We've got it covered on the pulse of Black Milwaukee. Get your tickets to the Truth Summit by visiting 1017thetruth.com.
Are record energy costs putting a squeeze on your fixed or limited incomes? With inflation rising at record levels and incomes not keeping pace, you might be one of tens of thousands of Wisconsin residents who are struggling to survive in the blistering heat of summer or the bitter cold of winter. While you haven't asked for it, the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund and your local energy assistance providers are here to help. No Wisconsin resident should ever have to face the challenge of living without heat or power or face homelessness. For a hand up, apply today and call 1-800-506-5596 or visit www.kwwf.org. That's 800-506-5596 or visit www.kwwf.org.
For your fellow fanatics and your number one fans. For your game day compatriots and your everyday companions. For your personal cheerleaders and your personal heroes. For the reasons you smile, get covered with dental and vision insurance from Delta Dental of Wisconsin and Delta Vision. Learn more at deltadentalwi.com today.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Experience, knowledge, results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Yeah, that would have been terrible. Well, now I only got 2 minutes until I got to take my end of the hour break. Well, here, let's see how much I can read. I'm already going to have black folks like, oh no, that's not what the Bible is written for. And stop, because you know what the Bible says about women? Like, come on, y'all. Stop. It's keeping us where we're at. And until we realize that, we're going to keep getting what we've been getting. A book that was foreign to us. We still adhere to it. Like Christianity is the only religion that has ever existed. Like when they gave it to us, it's almost like we as black people discovered something new. No, it is a system of control. And I can't even argue with black folks about it because like we're so far gone that I cannot single-handedly undo what centuries have done to us, our psyche and our understanding of religion. Do you realistically think that God and or Christ would let this happen to us? Do you realistically think that we have to die to get to some kind of mythical heaven, but everybody else can get their heaven right here, right now on our backs? What kind of God is that? And I got to quote Dr. Umar Johnson, and he and I have had a falling out. And every time he was in, near, or around Milwaukee, he always came to the WNOV studio and sat down with me, but he just kind of lost his way over the whole COVID thing. He said, any religion that tells me I have to die to get my heaven is a religion that I do not need. Where the white man has his heaven here, the Asian man has his heaven here, the Arab has his heaven here. I got to die to get mine. That's not a religion for us. Now, you guys sit tight. I got to take another break. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
1017 The Truth and Associated Bank have teamed up for our Black-owned business give back. Each quarter, we'll be giving away $6,000 worth of free commercial advertising for 3 months to 5 Black businesses. To sign up for your business's chance to win $6,000 of commercial campaign marketing on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, visit blackbusinessgiveback.com. That's blackbusinessgiveback.com. Let's rebuild our community's backbone through exposure on the truth. For official rules, head to blackbusinessgiveback.com. Associated Bank, member FDIC.
What's good, y'all? This is 1017 The Truth's Telly Hughes, and I am Milwaukee. The goal of Truth Be Told with DT and Telly is to provide a platform for citizens of Milwaukee and Truth Nation to have their voices heard about concerns that have daily, direct impact. So join the home of Milwaukee's realest conversations where you can speak your truth. We are the award-winning 1017 The Truth, Milwaukee Black Talk.
Truth Nation, let us talk our ish for a moment. There is no other station in the country where you get a front row seat to hear from some of the biggest names in politics, pop culture, and sports. People like Vice President Kamala Harris.
Talk with your listeners to remind them of their power and the importance of voting. And the folks in Milwaukee turned out for me and Joe Biden in 2020. You showed what was possible.
U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, are you a racist?
Absolutely not.
Is Donald Trump a racist?
Absolutely not. No.
And civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump.
Thank you all for speaking truth to power. That's the most important thing, because right now there are those in our community who would rather we just be quiet.
Right.
We have to disturb the peace now more than ever.
Tap into the award-winning and nationally recognized 1017 The Truth by downloading the Truth app and streaming us live at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Milwaukee Black Talk.
You said you'd never buy your kid candy from the checkout aisle. Or forget extra diapers. And never give in to a meltdown. You'd never lick your thumb to clean their face. Never let them have too much screen time. And never bribe them for just one more bite. You say you'd never let them out in public without their hair brushed. Never, ever become a minivan mom. And you'd never give them your phone for a quiet dinner.
Calling boss work phone.
So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, no, it can happen. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk in temperatures as low as 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Truth Nation, stand up and tap in. This is 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Corinthians is some of my favorites. According to Corinthians 14:35, a wife should ask her husband at home if she wants to learn about scripture or doctrine. This is not to prevent her from asking her pastor or studying on her own, but rather encourage her husband to study and grow in spiritual knowledge and leadership. Corinthians 7:3, the husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. Corinthians 7:4, the wife does not have authority over her body, but the husband does. You gotta be kidding me. I didn't know that was in there. I didn't know that explains Roe. And you better not challenge it either. Oh, can I read that again, please? I want to read it one more time. Corinthians 7:4. Is that like chapter 7, verse 4? The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. So that means rape, right? It's not her body. Corinthians 11:3. Paul writes that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of every woman is her husband. I see why ladies don't want to get married, because this doesn't sound fun. But here's what people are going to do. They're like, well, Sherwin, I believe in Christianity and the Bible, but not that stuff, not the stuff that I don't like. That's why if you can just interpret stuff that you like, and then all the other stuff is just nonsense to you, that doesn't work, because there are people that believe and like literally interpret the stuff that you don't believe. That is why you can have so many different understandings of one religion. Peter 3:1. That's got to be, is that when I do the number and then the colon and then another number, that's chapter and then verse, right? So Peter chapter 3, verse 1. Wives should be subject to their own husbands, so that even if some do not obey the word, they may be won without a word by the conduct of their wives. And there's a whole bunch of other things. Some of this stuff is just not, it's not good. You know what I mean? It's a recipe for subservience of really any subject that is being evangelized, right? You can make them submissive to the word of Christ. But if you're delivering the word, then you're the next best thing, right? So that gives a pastor or an evangelical a certain amount of power. But it really is a manuscript for how you can make women subservient too. And it makes a lot of sense. If you just change the format and the delivery a little bit, you can make tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of slaves believe that they're not even human beings. And this Bible and this manuscript that I have, the 290 pages of the religious instruction of the Negro, fits perfectly. He basically takes Dr. what his name is, Jones, Reverend Dr. Jones Colcroft. He takes the most significant pieces of the Bible and translates that on behalf of plantation owners and slave owners. And then missionaries went out and did the work to further indoctrinate the slaves, so they didn't even see themselves as human. They were a part of their masters. It is a brilliant strategy. Let me tell you why it's a brilliant strategy. Because it still works. Still works. Very well, actually. It might even work better now than it did back then. Let's talk to the town. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
How you doing, sir?
Good.
Fantastic. Got a couple things I wanted to talk about. Before, when you first started the show, talking about Kamala Harris and her prospects for winning, and I agree with you. I do think she's going to win. But like I said before, I keep on saying it. Well, if we think she's going to win, and we know there's still work to do. But I think it's time for us to go up in there and be like, whoever it is, go up there and be like, well, okay, this is what we're looking for. This is what we want as black people. You know, I think that's time, because they don't do it when they just win the election. They already know who their people is, either party. They know people who got them there, and then they help them people out. That's just American politics. So
who do we say that to? So when you say we should go up in there and tell those people what we want, who are we telling what we want to?
We should talk the people that we can get in contact with in the Kamala Harris campaign or the Democratic campaign that's close to them, and in some capacity. Some capacity, because BS ain't nothing, man. We're gonna help her win. Right. Black people are going to be one of the factors to help her win.
Correct.
We need something for that. We do need something for that. And okay, and you can stew on that for a little bit.
I don't need to stew on it, because here, before you go on, because a lot of people say that, make it seem like because we're not. Can you turn the radio off, please? Because we're getting a bad echo. Turn off.
Oh yeah. Okay.
People make it seem like So we'll vote for Kamala Harris. She'll win. It's going to be on the backs of black people that voted for her. So we need to get something for that. And then we should tell people what we want. We want equality and fairness and reparations. You forget about there's a whole political party that's going to say no to everything. They're called the Republicans. So it's not like Kamala Harris is like, okay, I know what these people want, what black people want, because they supported me and I won because of them. Let me do everything that they want. The Republicans are going to say, absolutely not. You're not going to do any of it. In fact, Republicans are going to work to take it away. Our system of government is not one that if a president gets in, they can do whatever they want. Because think about it, if Donald Trump was able to do everything that he wants without a Democratic Congress, we wouldn't be a country anymore. So it just doesn't work that way.
At the same time, though, when Donald Trump won, though, he got his people what they wanted. They wanted, his people didn't want abortion. He got rid of that. His people, his rich people wanted lower taxes and the new tax code. They got it. You know what I'm saying? That's my point on that. On my second point, on the religion, what's crazy about the religion is Christianity is like that. You got white folks and black folks that believe in the same Jesus, but they don't never get together for Jesus. Like you would think if you really follow Jesus and his teachings, you would think that the hood church will be getting together with the churches outside of the city to get together to do something good for the people or something Christ-like. But what you see is you see people that believe in Jesus on the left, and it's people that believe in Jesus on the right. They don't never get together to do something like just on to be like, okay, we on some Jesus stuff, and we're gonna go and go talk about the teachings of Jesus, and we're gonna live how Jesus do. They don't never do that together. That's how you know it's foul. That's how you know it's foul, because if they both believe in Jesus and y'all truly believe in Jesus, y'all should get together and y'all should be spreading the gospel all around here in the right way, the way Jesus wanted it to. That's how you know that's how you know that ish is foul for real. That's my time, man.
All right.
Peace.
Thank you. I like how he says that's my time. Like he's got a tight schedule. Can't talk too long on the radio. The Dutch, in common with other maritime nations of Europe, engaged in the traffic and man-o-war of that nation from the coast of Guinea in August 1620, 4 months before Plymouth colony arrived in Massachusetts, landed 20 Negroes for sale in the colony of Virginia on James River, which determines the epoch of their introduction into the colonies. From this period, they were gradually and at different times introduced into all of the colonies from Massachusetts to Georgia, and for the most part, contrary to the wishes of the colonists. That is the part that I found fascinating. The colonists that had already come to the New World, to the colonies in the Northeast, didn't want slaves to come. Ain't that crazy? They're like, why are you bringing these people here? They're gonna take our jobs from us. The first cargo of Negro slaves was brought to Boston in 1645, and through their introduction was denounced, and the Negroes ordered to be, quote, returned at public charge. Yet it was afterwards permitted and people engaged in the trade. So when we first came, they're like, send them back, and the taxpayers will pay for you to send them back to Africa. But then eventually they were okay with the Negroes arriving. In Maryland, acts were passed encouraging the importation of Negroes. In 1671, and in the same year, they were first introduced into South Carolina. They were legally admitted into Georgia in 1747. The precise year of their admission into the remaining 8 of the old 13 colonies is not accurately known. Number 2, estimated Negro population of the colonies at the Declaration of Independence and Census of 1790. The author says, I have no references at hand by which to determine the number of Negroes in each of the colonies, nor the aggregate in all before the Declaration of Independence, as no general census was ever taken of the colonies while they continued as such. But there are statements of the number in most of the colonies, given the different years, which I shall proceed to mention. Virginia was settled in 1607 and in 1671 contained 2,000 Negroes. In 1763, 100,000. Massachusetts was settled by the Pilgrims in 1620 and in 1763 contained 4,500. Rhode Island was settled in 1636. In 1680 had imported but few Negroes. In 1730 contained 1,648. And by 1748 had 4,373 Negroes. Connecticut was settled in 1635. In 1680 had 30 Negroes. And by 1774, 6,464. New Hampshire was settled from Massachusetts and became a separate colony in 1641, and in 1775 contained 659 Negroes. New York was settled by the Dutch in 1613. In 1756 contained 13,542 Negroes. New Jersey was settled in 1627. In 1738 contained 3,981 Negroes and slaves, and in 1745, 4,606. Maryland was granted to Lord Baltimore in 1632. In 1755 contained 42,764 Negroes, and for a time 2,000 were imported every year. Mr. Burke says in 1757 the number was upwards of 60,000. North Carolina was permanently settled in 1650 and became distinct from Virginia in the year 1727. In 1701, it had 5,000 inhabitants besides Negroes and Indians, and in 1702, 6,000 slaves. South Carolina was granted to Lord Clarendon in 1662. By 1723, contained 18,000 Negroes. In 1724, 439 were imported. In 1730, contained 28,000 Negroes. In 1731, 1,500 were imported. By 1765, contained 90,000 Negroes. In 1773, over 6,000 were imported. This colony lost 25,000 Negroes in the Revolutionary War. Georgia settled in 1732 and 1733. Slavery was legalized in 1747 and in 1772 contained 14,000 Negroes. The probable number of Negroes in the colonies at the Declaration of Independence in 1776 may be ascertained in the following manner. Take the known population in the different colonies nearest the year 1776, compare that with the census of 1790, take into consideration the rate of increase from nature and from importation, and also the decrease, then give the supposed population in round numbers. Massachusetts, last return in 1763 to 1776, 13 years, the population decreasing, supposed population in 1776, 3,500. It goes through all the different formulas, how you calculate how many slaves you had. Number 3, efforts for their religious instruction both in Great Britain and America year by year during the period. Let's talk to Lisa. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Good morning, Sherwin. How are you?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind?
I'm just listening to the show this morning, and you know that's my favorite subject. But the young man that called earlier, he is so correct. He's correct. And that's what witnesses do. We go door to door to spread the word, the truth. We come directly from the Bible, not from ourselves.
How many people actually answer the door, though? Not a lot.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But you don't realize how many come to the Kingdom Hall. You don't realize how that's the thing that people don't see.
Is that the one on Appleton?
I don't go to the one on Appleton.
Which one is that one? The one on
that Kingdom Hall, yeah.
Okay.
I still talk to my family in Minnesota. I still go to the Chanhassen Kingdom in Minnesota, and I have to yet to get out the bed to go to the Kingdom Hall here because I've been going to this thing for 3 years.
So the Kingdom Hall where is that one located?
That one, which one?
The Kingdom Hall.
They're everywhere. We're everywhere. We're around the whole world.
So that's not a specific name of a Jehovah church. What's the name of the one that's on Appleton?
No.
That's the one. Y'all be going to that one. That one be bumping.
Kingdom Hall on Appleton. Kingdom Hall.
Oh, so they're all called Kingdom Halls, but they're just in different locations. Okay. How many Kingdom Halls are there in Milwaukee?
Oh, I don't know, love. I really don't know.
Okay.
Don't know.
All right.
But I can go anywhere around this world, and find brothers and sisters, find the Kingdom Hall. That's amazing, isn't it? And we're on the same subject. It's amazing. It baffled me. That's why I stopped, the Baptist church, because what hurt me was, and it confused me, was why God talked to the pastor and y'all all shouting and stuff. What's wrong with me? God don't like me? That's the part that
Lisa, there's
me.
not even a lot of Jehovah's on the planet.
Oh, you'll be amazed. Oh, you'll be amazed.
There's like almost, I think we're getting close to 8 billion people on Earth. There's 8 million Jehovah's. There's more people in L.A. than there is Jehovah's on the planet. So it's not popular.
You know what? That's okay. We don't need to be popular. We just need you to get the truth. That's all.
Well, Lisa, I gotta go. I can't let you evangelize the audience now. I can't let you.
Oh, I ain't gonna evangelize the audience.
I think you take this radio show and you use this in place of door knocking.
No, I just, if it's in a subject and whatever, I'm just letting you know. You ask me questions why I don't vote, and I tell you why I don't vote, and then you take it to the religion standpoint. I don't.
Yeah, because that's the reason. Yeah, but Lisa, that's the reason why you don't participate in civic life. Even though there's nothing specific that says you shouldn't. I think there's an interpretation of it to keep certain people out of finding power outside of the holy book and outside of the pastor and outside of Jehovah. That's what that's about.
Sherwin, when you read every other book, I would like you to sit down and read. Okay, you don't read the Bible, you meditate. So whenever you take time to meditate, read the Bible, meditate on it as you're reading it, because every year we read it, and every year you find something out different about yourself, the Bible, and everything. And you can read the same scriptures. And another thing, you're like the pastor. Stop picking certain scriptures instead of reading the entire scripture, because that's not what it says about women.
Corinthians 11:3 doesn't say, Paul writes that the head of every man is Christ and the head of every woman is her husband. So he didn't say that?
Yes,
and how am I supposed there's only one way you can interpret that, and that means that women don't have any power. That if the man is the head of Christ and the woman is headed by her husband, then you're subservient. That's not nice.
There you go, just reading one scripture. Reading one, then that's exactly what you do.
So then am I not supposed to? I'm not getting into an argument with you. So am I not supposed to read that because it's not nice? Am I supposed to just read one that's better than that?
You're supposed to read the whole everything that's on the Corinthians, whatever. You got to read everything.
All right. The husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife. That one's not bad. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. How do we explain that one?
Jehovah told Abraham to listen to his wife Sarah. Okay?
No, let's not do that. Hold on, Lisa. I just want you to explain this one part. Corinthians 7:4. And I'm going to read it, and then you give an explanation of that, and then I really got to go. I just want to hear what you have to say. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but her husband does. And go.
Okay, when he says her body, what does the body mean? That includes everything, not just her body sexually or anything you could use or whatever. It means her whole body. When you get married, women, and it said Jesus is the head. I mean, man is the head and the woman's whatever, because he has to be like Jesus. When you marry a man, he has to have the qualities like Jesus. Okay, so
what if he doesn't? What if a woman marries a man and you find out 5 years later that he is mean, he's destructive, he's abusive, and he's a drug addict? Is he still like Jesus?
Jehovah said, wife, you ain't got to deal with that. That's why you got to divorce him.
Does Jehovah allow for divorce?
Yes, he does.
All right. Well, I got to go now. Some Jehovah's need to get divorced. Why would I start on this topic? I'm going to get shouted down when I'm over here reading a book that a slave master wrote that gives the manuscript on how you controlled millions of Negroes in the colonies with Christianity, and now I'm going to get yelled at? Oh, look who's online, too. Well. Let me take a break, come back. I am reading from a book that I just discovered it. I didn't even know that this book existed. The Religious Instruction of the Negroes in the United States. So it's 290 pages. I will finish this book this weekend. Tonight, I'm reading all night. I may step out for a hot minute on Saturday. It depends on how a brother's feeling. But I'm going to spend most of my morning and afternoon reading this. And by the time I come back on Monday, y'all should be afraid of me because I'm going to know how you can use religion to instruct the Negroes. So I might become Pastor Sherwin Hughes on Monday. Oh, welcome to the The Church of the Truth. Can I get a amen? Amen. I was reading my Bible over the weekend. Let me stop. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
It's Dr. Ken Harris, and you can watch me now live on YouTube every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m., and you can watch the best radio show in Wisconsin by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Watch me explore the issues which are shaping our community while also having fun discussions, pop culture, current events, all kind of stuff going on right here on YouTube right now by subscribing to 1017 The Truth. Milwaukee Black Talk is now streaming live on YouTube.
Hardworking family businesses, ambitious entrepreneurs, relationship builders, and job creators. Businesses like yours are the heart of Wisconsin, and Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation lives to help you realize your vision. Join them for Marketplace Wisconsin, the Governor's Conference on Diverse Business Development. It will be held on December 11th and 12th at the Baird Center in Milwaukee and virtually on the 10th. Presented by WEDC, Marketplace Wisconsin is a place for minority, women, LGBTQ+, veteran-owned and small businesses to network, explore government contracting, and grow. You keep our state moving with construction, janitorial services, logistics, transportation, technology, medical services, and more. And Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation wants to help propel your success too. Let's look forward together. Register for Marketplace Wisconsin today at marketplacewisconsin.com. That's marketplacewisconsin.com.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
Garage doors giving you headaches? Best way I know how to deal with it is to call my friends at Geis. Family owned since 1955, Geis is the trusted authority on garage doors and openers in southeastern Wisconsin. Trust me, I use them too. With brands like CHI and LiftMaster, they have doors for every budget and will even build custom designs to match your exact needs. For fast, reliable garage repair solutions, go to GeisDoors.com or call 262-784-4250. GeisDoors.com.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
Life's better with American Family Insurance, because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin is as hard-working of a place as you'll ever find. People here are tough, but even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. At Gruber Law Offices, we won't stop fighting for you and your family. One call, that's all.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number, which some of you have already, is 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. So I came across this book that I didn't even know existed. Did y'all know that this book existed? No, you didn't. You did not know. It's called The Religious Instruction of the Negroes in the United States. It's a book written by Charles Colcock Jones, a Presbyterian clergyman, educator, missionary, and planter. The book was published in 1842. I actually did some reading about the writer of this book, Dr. Reverend Charles Colcock Jones, and he did something that was very unconventional for the time. Well, he married his first cousin and had 4 kids, so there's that. But he did something that was illegal. He taught his slaves how to read and write, and very much wanted all of them to be able to read the Bible and interpret Scripture. He did something that was very uncommon at the time, but the way he was able to use the Bible and Scripture to manipulate their actions, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors was something that was so significant. He decided to publish this book of how religion and Christianity in particular, how it had been used incorrectly, and how he wanted to perfectly shape and mold the instruction of Christianity to slaves to essentially zap them of their humanity. And this was not, because you got to keep in mind, they thought the institution of slavery would last forever. So they needed something durable that would indoctrinate slaves forever, not until 1865. They didn't know what was happening in 1865. They had no idea. In fact, their worst nightmare ever. Because America, you got to keep in mind, y'all, this nation is what I'm reading to you. That is the foundation of this country. From everything that this country is right now came out of slavery. Everything. Thoughts, feelings, sentiments, laws, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, trade, business, advertising, marketing, international trade, all of that stemmed from this institution. But if you have slaves that are not controlled, the entire nation falls apart. So they had to have an institution that was strong, that was durable, that would last the test of time. And here's what's crazy. The institution that they used to indoctrinate slaves is outliving slavery itself. So they still have the keys to indoctrinate us. They still do. And they're still driving that car. Let's talk to Al. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. They say as he who controls the religion controls the people. Don't forget about the good Christian is a good slave. It's okay for master to beat you. Don't forget about Numbers. I think that's 31:18. The boys and girls who have had intercourse, kill them, but keep the virgins for yourself. See, I thought that was kind of messed up. So that's then because I gave away these good yam, tim, bam, bams, and glams. I don't have a right to live because I didn't save myself to release you. You could have been not good enough for me. I could have not been enough for you. That's why you always use your cherry juice for the pH balance, because my body might reject you. Let's not forget about Deuteronomy. What's that thing they said? The Lord shall make rain and land powder and dust. Our first thing I thought about was cocaine. Don't forget 22, 28, 27, or 22, 28, 29. He can rape you and violate you. Then he got to marry you, and then you got to live the rest of your days like a scene from Color Purple. He died on top of me. Oh, hell no. So this is why people should always push back. All you have to do is to be a good person is do right from your heart. But when you use that book, it kind of tap dance on your brain like Sammy Davis Jr. and Elvis Presley and Bruce Wayne shoes when he was messing with that 14-year-old girl. But you know where it gets rich? Where are these pastors and these ordained ministers that's not calling y'all raising $1,000 worth of hell? Because, you know, I always pay attention when they come out, he, thou, show, thou, this and that. But then when you look deep into the book, you find out a lot of crookedness, just like with Sodom and Gomorrah. It wasn't about them getting down. It was about them having pride and them not sharing. Or think about this. When God said that Satan was real jacked up and he was evilest, but it's because Satan told Adam and Eve was already people there before they were screwing. So don't you find that weird? Somebody who's telling you somebody else is pure evilness, but they're not telling you why, but you're going to release them in 1,000 years? It kind of seems to me when people tell you somebody is wrong or somebody is bad because that person got the real sugar honey iced tea on them. Y'all better pay attention because everybody else doing everything, and he got his mansion and his streets of gold, and who built that? Have a good one.
Thanks, Al. Al seems to know a lot about the Bible. Like, he's read it, I think. Here's another example of how religion in modern day America supersedes existing law. From Madison, a federal judge ruled this week against allowing access to court documents sealed nearly a decade ago in a bankruptcy filing by the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, denying a request made by the State Department of Justice as part of an investigation into sexual abuse committed by faith leaders in Wisconsin. You guys know that there was a scandal of Catholic priests and associated staff and volunteers that were having their way with children in the Catholic Archdiocese, like raping children for years. That's criminal behavior, but because, church, it's sealed, and these individuals that sexually assaulted, sexually abused children will never be brought to justice because of their affiliation with the clergy. That's dangerous, to say the least. It's a whole bunch of other things, too. Let me take a break, come back. I got some other things I need to read. We got to get ready for that lady, though. That lady going to call at 11 o'clock. Her name is Olivia Troy. She's a former Trump administration official that left. They say that they fired her. She says she quit, but now she's supporting Kamala Harris. She wants to tell her story about how she thinks Donald Trump wouldn't be a good president. So we're talking to Olivia Troy at 11 o'clock. But until then, we're going to teach you guys how to indoctrinate the Negroes by using the Bible. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place? You know, that spot that only you know about? And instead of what you came for, you found something a little different? What if instead of your private stash, you found a simple phone number? 1-800-662-HELP. What would you do? Would you stop and give it some thought? Would you make the call? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before those risks become real, before drugs turn your life upside down, before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use or prescription drug misuse, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/thereishelp.
We Energies, we're committed to building a bright, sustainable energy future. We're investing in clean energy projects like solar, wind, and battery storage. As a leader in the decarbonization effort, our goal is to achieve net zero carbon emissions from our generation fleet by 2050. It's part of our plan to provide the affordable, reliable, and clean energy you depend on. Learn more at weenergies.com.
We Energies. People you can trust, energy you can depend on. This message was paid for by the stockholders of WEC Energy Group.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
When you think about it, Reverend Dr. Charles Colcock Jones, a Presbyterian clergyman, educator, missionary, and plantation owner, did something very unconventional at the time. He taught his slaves to read. If you teach your slaves to read, and the only book you ever give them, is the Bible. As they continue on their journey of literacy, they can be evangelized in a way that they are reading their own subservience. And that's the only manuscript that you give them to read. They weren't reading about science, they weren't reading about current events, they weren't reading the newspaper. They would just read the Bible. Imagine how you could control someone forever if the only thing they ever have to read, and this is the text that you use to teach them how to read. Think about their connection to the Bible. You will never be able to separate them from it. And if you're going to interpret scripture in a way from someone who is barely literate, you interpret it in a way that says, you know what, you're just better off if I control you because I'm like Christ. I'm your master. I'll take care of you. Look, I taught you how to read. See? And the slave may read something else, maybe another passage that doesn't really sound right. It doesn't really sound like it's fair. And the master, who has the ability to critically think far better than the slave who's only read the Bible, can indoctrinate that individual in ways that most of us today wouldn't even understand. Let's talk to the caller. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Professor Hughes? Excellent show.
Thank you.
And when it comes to door knocking, if when you're done, you come up with your interpretation of this text from, what's his name, Reverend Dr.
Charles Colcock Jones.
Sounds like somebody who was a boxer before he became a reverend. You know, they usually have some kind of career before that. But
not as a plantation owner. That's pretty much their job forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think you and Al are spot on with that religion has been forever used. And then some slave owners like Jefferson Davis and his brother who owned the person who I mention often, Isaiah T. Montgomery. It's ironic that certain slaves who they knew they could utilize in a certain way were taught to read the Bible. And that is so that, you know, now you have, if you have 400 slaves, you have 400 people who support the bondage of their own people through religion, you know, which is, like I said, the book that they handed the slaves as soon as they got off the ship, which was a very condensed version. I think 11 books of however many books of the Bible were given to the slaves that were even taught to read, like Isaiah T., who I hope everybody in Truth Nation looks up and does some research on, because it digs deeper into some of the points that Al made about how evil that priests and people can be when they're just given free reign to abuse. I did want to also touch on another thing about that specifically black thing. I think $17.3 billion is what this current administration has invested in the future education at not Asian institutions in America, but HBCUs. So I want to ask you, do you feel that that's specifically black, Professor Hughes?
Like specifically for black people?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people say they've done nothing specifically for black. Is $17 billion, like, is that a decent number or a pretty big number as opposed to the nothing that a lot of people, like, will come on this show and definitely on other shows that come on later today and say the word nothing when it comes to Joe Biden. So I want to ask you, if it's not too exhausting.
I mean, it's better. It's better than nothing. So what are HBCUs
way better.
Going to graduate?
That was a rhetorical question.
Yeah, but I gotta give it some context. So that sounds like a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But if you figure maybe 2 million African Americans graduate from HBCUs and you have almost 50 million black people in this country, I could see how 48 million black people could think that nothing has been done on their behalf. Because most of us don't go to HBCUs and most of us never will. So that investment is good, but isn't it also the benefit of HBCU graduates? But also, that's just the United States making an investment in education. If we looked at how much money the federal government invests in white institutions, it'll probably dwarf that. So is it nothing? No.
It will.
Does it impact? So you think that they invest more in HBCUs than they do in, like, Texas?
No, not at all. I don't.
Okay.
I know I definitely don't. But I'm just saying, to say it's nothing is a lie.
Correct.
And so I just want to call that lie out. And to ask you if you could go through a quick checklist of some of the things that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris promised in 2020 and the things that either they did or did not do, and how, if they tried to do it, how it didn't happen, which I know you're going to explain that it was the Republicans blocking it. Just a quick study or a few things before you go off today that they promised that they did deliver, and the 31 tie breaks that she was, which is the job of vice president that she holds the record of.
All right.
In the Senate. If you could just do that before you go off, I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate your call.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. No, I'm not going to be able to do that. Like, I'll be preaching to a choir. If anybody wants to know, here's the thing. If somebody says, oh, Joe Biden didn't do nothing and Kamala Harris didn't do nothing, that's because they don't want to know what they actually did, because we have all the same ability to reference and to look things up. And even if I do say, but look, Joe Biden did this and Joe Biden did that, I'll be talking to people that are either already convinced one way or the other. So whatever I say, there's no examples I can point to that'll make somebody change their mind. And anybody who wants to know has free reign to be able to look up with their own curiosity, like, I wonder what Joe Biden actually did. I wonder what Kamala Harris actually did. Like, that's on y'all. I can't spoon feed folks. And the people that are devout Trump supporters, it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what Joe Biden did. It doesn't matter what Kamala Harris did. It doesn't matter how many ties she broke. We're at a point right now, 32 days from the election, those things don't matter anymore. And I'm starting to sound like a broken record because I think people want common sense to reign. It won't. This election is ruled by emotion. Now, there's some policy involvements as well. There's some impact here on Wisconsin. We got a Democratic governor, Democratic mayor, Democratic county executive. Having a Democratic president and a Democratic-controlled Congress will be of benefit. But at the end of the day, people know that their lives are screwed up and they want things to be better. But government can't fix a lot of that stuff. Government is never going to be able to raise your children. Government is never going to be able to make you feel whole. Government is never going to make up for people that just make bad decisions. And I think that's what we want government to do. When somebody's life sucks, mostly because they made really bad choices, it's easy for them to blame the government or blame someone else instead of saying, you know what, I screwed up. I suck. I need to get myself right. Let's talk to Minister Mack. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
Absolutely, Sherwin. Hey, bud, how you be?
I'm good. How are you?
For Friday, I know you're going to have to get going in your weekend. You got it all planned out?
You being especially nice right now. I love my job. I'm not one of those Friday warriors like, oh, my God, the weekend is. I love what I do. Quite honestly, when I'm not doing this, I don't know what to do with myself. When I'm not on the radio, I'm like, oh, the world is boring. I'd rather be here because I love my job.
You act like police, man. You act like a detective. You look at all angles before you go into any instance. You make sure that everything is covered before you just start speaking on things. But that's always good because you're very noble-minded and you're also very humble. And I appreciate that. So let me just say, I two things very briefly in terms of the politics. J.D. Vance, he was a very smooth talker, and if them guys couldn't do anything else, I'm surprised they didn't leave there together and go have dinner. But for the most part, and he spoke on a few good things, and it shows me he wants to be president one day. That's what that showed me, and he got the credentials. I don't say necessarily credentials, but he has the mindset to probably go a long way in terms of the Republican Party, and that's who he's trying to win over right now is the Republican Party. So, but
I hope he doesn't become president. We all should hope he never becomes president.
Well, of course. Well, it ain't all of us, bro. It's only we're 51% Democrats. So, but yeah, we would run into all kind of problems. But I was just saying that's his goal. I wasn't saying this is my mindset.
Yeah, but we then have an obligation to stop his goal. Any man who is running for an office that would say that black people from Haiti are eating cats and dogs is not a person that needs to have an executive order pen, is not a person that needs to have any kind of political influence over 300 million people in this country. So we have to keep him from the White House because he disqualified himself by making up things about black people. For me, that's a disqualifier.
Sure,
for other people, it's not.
I'm very educated to realize everything you just said, and I'm not trying to dispute that. That is very valid what you said, but that ain't really what my call is about. My call is about Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
I know. But I had to get that out because you know why? The boy put up a good layout for old boy. He put some, he kind of threw
Mr. Mack, if somebody is applying for a job and if they say that Haitians are eating cats and dogs in a job interview, would that person get hired? No.
But, bro, it never came up. That's how slick he was. He didn't even allow that old boy to bring it up. It never got brought up.
No, he's said it before, and he even admitted that he made it up just to get the media to pay attention. So whether he said it in the debate or not doesn't negate the fact that he said it and he maintained it, and then Donald Trump used it in his debate against Kamala Harris. And I said all that to say this. He just disqualified himself, in my eyes, to be president of the United States.
Sir.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're right. And then on the other hand, you're not looking at the big picture. The big picture is he had the whole country in front of his face, and he was able to keep that. He kept that under wraps. He kept it aboard. He didn't have to worry about that particular issue coming up.
Yeah, but the people in the United States are not done though. The people in the United States are not stupid. The way when January 6th was brought up, when he said we're focused on the future, but we can't be focused on a political party trying to overthrow the U.S. government because they lost an election and didn't want to leave the White House. It's interesting that they want us to forget the horrible things that they've done, but we want them to remember the horrible things that they've done to us as black people, and then all of a sudden they don't have memories anymore. But now I got to take a break.
That's what,
I know you. Here's the thing. You called, but listen, you called talking about J.D. Vance, and I had to refute some of the stuff.
I'm not done. You better hold me over.
Did he? Hold on. What? Whoa! Hold on. You better hold me up. You wasted your own time, bucko. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Friday Night Lights officially lives here. 1017 The Truth is the proud home of Marquette University High School championship football. Be sure to tune in every Friday night at 7 p.m. as we bring you some of the best gridiron action in the area. Marquette Hilltoppers football is presented by Gruber Law Offices and sponsored by Capital Insurance Agency, Magic Productions, Annex Wealth Management, C.G. Schmidt, Left's Lucky Town, Boyle Frederickson Intellectual Property Law, and Marquette University High School.
The Empowerment Small Business Loan Program, we're talking about up to $5 million, which for small business owners, we need that. That's like payroll, that's resources. So can you just let us know, what is the program and why is this lending program so important to Old National Bank?
Years ago, our CEO, Jim Ryan, this program is his brainchild. He was working with Roland Shelton, who you know, Denise, out of Evansville, and they identified that African-American business owners, Hispanic business owners, Native American business owners, as well as women business owners had a difficult time in obtaining financing from the traditional credit partners. And so we went out, created a program, launched it last year, 2023. And so far last year, we have helped over 100 successful minority and women-owned businesses with about $25 million in loans. We've already started this year with almost $8 million in approvals, again, geared toward minority business owners and women business owners that normally had difficulties in obtaining traditional credit finance.
Okay, Fred, so I got some questions.
What's up?
Where should I go if I want to start my own business?
You go to EerieInsurance.com.
Okay, Fred, so where should I go if my kid needs an internship or if I need a job? Where do I go?
You go to EerieInsurance.com.
Okay, so what if I want to work for a company that believes in diversity, has great benefits, and growth for people like us?
You already know. It's EerieInsurance.com.
Man, so Fred, I just need to go to Erie Insurance?
Go to EerieInsurance.com for all that you need.
It's amazing.
Sybaris Pool Suites. Romantic, luxurious, affordable. A place where romance touches paradise and the memories of a lifetime are made. Sybaris offers a variety of room styles, including the exquisite Chalet Suite, which spans 3 levels and features your own private swimming pool with cascading waterfall, soothing whirlpool tub, a cozy fireplace, and much more to make your stay unforgettable. They are located in Mequon, just north of Milwaukee. Take a virtual tour at Sybaris.com.
Bikers need protection, not just from other drivers, but unfortunately from insurance companies too. We've been fighting for injured bikers and their families for more than 30 years. Call Gruber Law Offices today. One call, that's all.
If only life had a remote control, you could pause or rewind. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
James says, odd thought. Do you think the ancestors of those slaves that escaped from the South and made it to Canada have any claim to return and be citizens? Yes. Yes. If I was born in America, I'm a citizen. And if I was abused in America and had no rights and had no humanity, and I go somewhere else where I get rights and I get humanity, and then I return back to America, I never lost my citizenship. I just didn't want to put up with abuse. Joe says, Sherwin, you are too smart to talk so simple. The scriptures aren't literal. They are parables to help you live a righteous life. The scripture is not for me. The scripture is for people that read that stuff and live their lives by the strict construction of what they read in the Bible. Some people can make the distinction. But the other thing is, it's just very inconsistent, because someone will read a scripture and talk about, well, the man is supposed to control the wife, and they'll minimize that. Well, no, that means that the man is supposed to make all the money. Everybody has a different interpretation of it. And that's where we fall into disrepair. Joe says every religion has people who manipulate it for their own cause. Exactly. Every business has got people that make money, manipulate money. There's politicians that manipulate their power. That is something that exists. But religion is just, it's been so powerful for so long that it still holds this incredible grip over oppressed people. And we look around as black folks and wonder why this stuff is happening to us. The fact that churches are segregated is like a lot of what we need to know. It's like Jesus protects us differently. Jesus protects white folks from us, but then Jesus doesn't really protect us from white folks, but one day he will. That's the part that it makes no sense to me. Because if you lay it out in a common sense fashion, and also how it was delivered to us. Like, who gave it to us? How we received Christianity in this country was not from a trustworthy source, right? The person who delivered scripture and the Bible to us would rape our mother. You know what I mean? Like, that, to me, that don't square. I guess I'll let Minister Matt continue.
No, it's not like that. You're good, bud. I ain't got nothing but love for you, man. I ain't like that. I want to say to you, though, first of all, 2 questions to you. Do you love God, and do you love the Bible?
I love people. I love hope. I love optimism. I love the prospect of a better future. I love the fact that human beings can work together. Like, I can't tell you what that is. I love myself. I love my family. I love my listeners. I love my city. I love what I can see. I love what I believe. I don't love what I can't see. I don't love what I can't believe, because love is not that kind of emotion for me. Love is real, and love is action. Love is not a fantasy that lives in my mind.
Absolutely. So obviously, as far as the person next to you or the person that come into your world, because I've heard you I've listened to you speak on religion, on relationships, and it touched me in a way. You know, I've been married 41 years, bro, and so I'm here to say to you, I want you to really step down a step sometime. You got some very high standards, brother, and sometimes those standards might make you bypass some of the things that's in front of you. In other words, I told my grandson when I dropped him off at school, I say, don't turn down nothing but your collar, because the things that you might turn down is the things that might get you through this world. I bet you've met some beautiful women, talked to some beautiful women, but your standards are so high that you don't give no one a chance to really come into your world. Am I right or wrong?
100% wrong. So a couple of things.
Okay.
I am not, and I only got 40 seconds left. I am not under any circumstance for any reason going to lower my standards for another human being, because then if I accept a lower standard, then I am accepting something less. I didn't say lower standards. No, you said my standards are too high. But here's the thing: I don't need to get married to feel fulfilled. I have a wonderful life. I didn't say married. People, or even I'll have women in my life. Please believe that. And also, you got to keep this in mind. I don't care about that. You got hold on, but actually, you brought it up. I only share with y'all what I want y'all to know. And I think you're trying to tell me that I need to lower my standards because I'm letting a lot of beautiful women that I've met pass me by. Trust me, no beautiful women pass me by. See, this is what happens when I talk about religion. Y'all get triggered. All right, I got to take a break. Oh, we got a phone call we got to take. Is this the phone call? The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 3.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, join us live for the Truth Summit on Saturday, October 26th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the 3rd Street Market Hall. This exclusive in-person roundtable will examine the state of finances, education, and politics for Black Milwaukee. Dr. Ken Harris will be joined by expert guests for a lively debate and insights that you can't afford to miss. We've got it covered on the pulse of Black Milwaukee. Get your tickets to the Truth Summit by visiting 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
This is Southside Serious.
Southside, this is 1017 The Truth, and you are our Gruber 5K giveaway.
Oh, man, I can't believe it, man. You guys are so great, man. You're doing so much for the community. I really, really appreciate you guys.
What would you do with $5,000?
I got 2 boys. I got an 18-year-old. I got a 15-year-old, and, man, I'm going to give it to them.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com. Truth Nation, let us take a second to brag for a moment. There is no other station in the country where you get a front row seat to hear from some of the biggest names in politics, pop culture, and sports. People like President Joe Biden.
Black child poverty was cut in half in 2021. We built black wealth, 15 million jobs nationwide, more than 2.5 million for black Americans. Black wealth is up 60% since the pandemic.
Former President Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump.
Guys, we almost had a former president and very likely future president assassinated on live TV. Like, you know what that would have done for this country? You know what that would have made our country look like? We would look like a banana republic.
And Brewers all-star and former National League MVP Christian Yelich.
Listen, you already know.
Yeah, we got we were just in LA, so we heard our fair share of Kendrick out there in LA. Dodger Stadium has one of the best sound systems in baseball too.
Tap into the award-winning and nationally recognized 1017 The Truth by downloading the Truth app, listening live on 1017thetruth.com, and streaming us live at 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Black men are the most likely Americans to die from lung cancer, and black people develop the disease earlier in life than others. Federal guidelines have nearly doubled the number of black Americans eligible for lung cancer screening. Insurance companies are required to cover these tests for those ages 50 to 80 who smoke or used to smoke. If that's you, talk to a doctor about lung cancer screening. For more information and to find a screening center near you, visit acr.org/mylcs. That's acr.org/mylcs.
Milwaukee's Black Talk lives here. You are listening to 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, where we apparently are going on one interesting ride today. I discovered a book that I never knew existed, and it's called The Religious Instruction of the Negroes in the United States, and it was written by Reverend Dr. Charles Colcock, Charles Colcock Jones, who was a slave owner in the colony or state at the time of Georgia. And he did something very unconventional for the time. He taught his slaves to read, but he used the Bible and only the Bible in said instruction. And he also put together this 290-page guide, which I believe is the precursor to the Willie Lynch letter, that shows how you can effectively use religion to control the minds of slaves who at this time grossly outnumbered the number of whites and the number of masters in the antebellum South. And as I'm reading this manuscript, it's shockingly accurate to this day, because even when you try and be matter of fact about how Christianity was thrust upon the African in the New World, we adhere to it to this day probably stronger than we did at the time. Because at the time, it was foreign to us. It was an unknown religion. It was an unknown God. It was written in an unknown language, and it was given to us in an unknown place. And the person that gave it to us hated us, killed us, burned us, hung us, raped our mothers, and sold and stole our children. So that, to me, lacks credibility. But, of course, I am not in the situation that my ancestors were in. I have the ability to critically think and to freely think and to reject their ideas to the extent that they continue to hurt my people. And when I do that, and this is a Sherwin Hughes thing, I'm not telling any of y'all to reject your religion, to reject your spirituality. I will never, ever once, and I never have, I'll never tell y'all to do that. But allow me to have my beliefs too. That does not take anything away from you unless you know that your beliefs are faulty and can easily be shaken. The real Christians that I met enjoy conversations with people that aren't believers to the extent that they are, because they're so strong in their faith. It doesn't matter what somebody else thinks. It's like an opinion. I know a bunch of y'all have opinions, some of which I agree with, most of which I do not. But we still can have a conversation. We still can talk and hang out and be social. You have your opinions, and you're strong in your opinions, and I am not here to change nor challenge your opinions. In fact, I respect them. But when you take your opinions and you try to pass them off as fact or use your opinions to try and discredit somebody else, well, that's where it gets a little sticky. Let's talk to... So it says Double J, so I'd imagine your name is JJ.
No, it's Lana Banana, but I was asking the producer if he was Double J.
Huh?
If it was Jason.
No, it's Rick.
Oh, hey, Rick, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just like, is this Double J? But, yeah, this is Lana Banana. I'm sorry for the confusion.
That's all right.
I need to use better choice of words next time. But, yeah, I agree with you, Sherwin. Sherwin, I really do, because when the slaves got off the ship, you said they were handed the book, a Bible, by a white man, right?
Not exactly, but eventually, yes.
Who wrote that book?
A bunch of people.
A bunch of white people?
Probably.
But then why should we let that govern or rule our lives for someone who don't like us, don't trust us, want us to stay inferior to them? Why would we even defend that? I used to be a Jehovah's Witness, but they disfellowshipped me. I've been disfellowshipped now for 39 years. I'm never going back. But I'm not going to bash them or anything, but it's just some things I don't agree with, and they disfellowshipped me because I was strong on what I believed in and what I wanted to do for my life. And so I'm glad it happened to me. I'm glad, and there's nothing wrong with being an atheist. Atheists are not bad people. People need to stop getting at it. Well, if you don't believe in God, you're a bad person. Well, there's some people that believe in God who are bad people. You know, so I talked to my ancestors. I haven't prayed to God or whoever in years. And by me talking to my ancestors, that has been working for me for years, and I'm happy with that, and I'm satisfied. And if anybody have anything, negative to say about that, then so be it. I'm happy.
Their problem,
then
not
you live
your
my
problem.
life, you live yours.
Exactly.
Yeah, you live your life, I live mine. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, Lana Banana.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Have a nice weekend. Be safe.
All right, you too, Lana Banana. Okay. On the line, we have Olivia Troy. Olivia, how are you?
Great. Hi, Sherwin. How are you?
I'm doing well. So thank you for taking the time to speak with us today, because you have a very, let's just say, interesting background. You have extensive experience in working for a number of Republicans, including being an appointee of former Republican President George W. Bush. You have extensive experience in national security. You even served under former Vice President Mike Pence. And so in reading about you and understanding your resume, I would assume that you are Republican, will support Republicans, and would be voting for Donald Trump. But that is not the case. Is that correct?
That is correct. I know. Strange times we're seeing these days, right? And what's happening here.
Can you explain, with your experience and what you saw working in the Trump-Pence administration? You actually were working under the auspices of Vice President Mike Pence. Did you see anything in the time that you were working in the administration that caused any kind of concern or alarm, especially when it pertains to American national security?
Yes, and that's a big reason why I made a big life-changing decision and decided to go against my party. And I think what has happened here is that I chose to support Kamala Harris because I felt like she would be a more trusted, responsible leader should she take the reins in the Oval Office. I spent all 4 years working with the Trump administration. I started at the Department of Homeland Security. I worked all the immigration executive orders, all the disaster relief, and then I went and served in the White House with Vice President Mike Pence. And what I saw in terms of a number of issues, whether it was undermining the intelligence community when we were trying to tell Donald Trump that Russia was infiltrating and trying to influence us, when we would have conversations about disaster relief and the politicization of it, where he would actually kind of try to actually look at things from such a political lens, where he would say, like, that, you know, he would withhold disaster relief aid to communities based on the fact that they didn't vote for him. And to me, fundamentally, when you serve in national security, you care about the greater good of all Americans. That is incredibly alarming, because a president sitting in the Oval Office should be doing everything he can to support Americans in need, to actually behave in a responsible manner without the politics during a crisis. And there were numerous situations, and then later on with the COVID pandemic as well, where I worked on that, on the task force, where I just saw complete recklessness by someone who solely was looking at how it benefited him and not looking out for what it was doing and the impact that it would have, the impact that it would have on the American people. And to me, honestly, it would be hypocritical for me, who took an oath to serve honorably, to not take a stand against this and go along and continue to support such a person, because really it's about a commitment to protecting Americans. I served in Homeland Security and National Security for many years, and as you said, I've worked in Republican administrations. I believe in a strong military. I believe in strong defense. I believe in individual liberties and limited government. But to me, what I saw firsthand was the antithesis of that. These are not conservative values that we're seeing here in terms of Donald Trump and his MAGA extremism.
I'm speaking with Olivia Troy, who is a former national security and homeland security professional that worked in the not just George W. Bush administration, but also in the Trump-Pence administration. There are more Republicans, Olivia, that see the world just like you do. They know what kind of a threat that Donald Trump is, but they also may know the kinds of threats that we as Americans face from all sorts of bad foreign actors. Why aren't more Republicans standing up and speaking out? Because that is what a lot of us cannot understand. And I remember a time where Democrats and Republicans, they only disagreed on the issues and how we solve problems. Now, it is like fundamentally changed. But I know that some of those Republicans see that America is worth protecting and that under Donald Trump's leadership, we are far more vulnerable in a very dangerous world. So why aren't more Republicans in this country coming out just like you are and saying, you know what, this guy is bad. We need to support somebody that actually cares about the safety and security of America?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I mean, I think you've seen some of his own cabinet people. I'm not the only one that served in the Trump administration who has been outspoken, but I wish there were more. I think there are leaders in our Congress, in the U.S. Congress, House of Representatives, Senate, who know what Donald Trump is. And I know this because these are the conversations that happen behind closed doors about how they truly feel about him. But I think that goes to show the kind of where we are politically as a country. And a lot of it, to be honest, Sherwin, is self-preservation for them, either whether it's maintaining power, because if they feel like they go against the grain, then Donald Trump, turns everything MAGA against them, and they incur the wrath of Donald Trump and his vengeance and retribution, which he plans, actually, he talked very openly about his retribution that he'll bring should he come back to the Oval Office. And a lot of it is, how do you navigate that in a world where when you do speak up truthfully about what the situation is, you get the threats. My family has been harassed and threatened. It impacts your economic well-being at times on how you navigate this. And so I think that's what people weigh is, can I afford to have security outside my house just for telling the truth? And I think that points to the danger of the moment of what Trump and the MAGA movement has become. And I think they use that to their advantage when they spread disinformation and they target people and they talk about this. And I think for all of us, for these Republicans like myself and others, when we see Project 2025 and the playbook that they have planned for the Trump agenda, regardless of how much he may try to separate himself, that playbook was written by people that I worked with day in and day out in the Trump administration. So there's no separation. I know who these people are. These are the people that will be back running government agencies for Donald Trump should he come back into office. When I look at that, they all know. They all know the truth. They have just decided that they are going to go along with this. And when I've talked to some people that, talk to me and say, we're really glad that you're speaking very truthfully about the danger that he is, but I can't afford to put security outside my house. That's a really dangerous statement about where we are in the politics of our country, especially for me, as someone who works in Homeland Security, who's watching the trends here about the rise of domestic, hate crimes and domestic terrorism. Like, to watch this continue to happen is very concerning. But I think that is part of it. A lot of it is what happens to people when they do speak up. The positive side, I would say to you, Sherwin, is this movement is growing, and we're seeing more voices come forward. And I think what is incredibly powerful is what's happening on the ground with Republican voters who don't identify with MAGA, who are not supporting extremism in the Republican Party. They're upset about what they see, and these are not traditional conservative values. And I would say that their voices are powerful because I'm seeing a growing movement in communities where they're standing by each other. And I think if the people in leadership that have, the bully pulpit aren't going to take a stand, I'm grateful for the people and the voters and Americans who are saying, fine, we're going to do it together. And that's more powerful, I think, than anything. And I'm so grateful for them.
Speaking with Olivia Troy, who is a national security professional, and I'm just understating so many things she has in her resume. Not only are you speaking out against Donald Trump and his lackluster understanding of national security, you're actually calling him what he is, a danger. But you took it a step further. You actually spoke at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. We know the threats that you were under, but where do you get the courage from to not just speak out against the administration, but to speak at the Democrats' convention? Because I'm sure that didn't win you any new Trump friends.
No, in fact, that was the week where we were warned and some of our houses got swatted and targeted for the Republicans that did speak at that convention. And so, I'll have to I'll share something very personal. While I was on that stage, I was thinking about my mom, who's 80 years old, at home, wondering if that was the night that we were going to get swatted and what that was going to mean for her, being far away from her and not being there for whatever was going to come our way. And I think for me, I just feel a very strong moral obligation to try to reach others within my party and other Americans who may be on the fence and explain to them that, we can disagree on policy at times. And, like you said earlier, I'd love to get back to arguing substantive policy issues that I cared about as a Republican. But this is not the moment we're in. And for me, I felt very strongly that I needed to address other like-minded people like myself and say, I'm here at the DNC. I never in a million years imagined myself going from the Republican National Committee staffer to speaking at the DNC, obviously. But for me, it was very important to try to reach women and say, this is what the danger that Trump poses in a very honest way. And, I have been very impressed with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I think that when I look at them, I identify with them. I grew up in a working class family. I was a middle class person. I grew up on the border, and my dad was a lifelong truck driver. And when I see Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, and they talk about their experiences growing up in middle class families, having worked their way through college, I definitely worked my way through college. I had to work for everything along the way because my parents couldn't afford to put me through school. And, I had those student loans when I graduated, and I look at them and I think about the better future that they're trying to pave for this country without the hateful rhetoric and divisiveness that we have seen that has become so common with Donald Trump and MAGA and the hateful things that they do. And, I think back to sitting in these meetings with Donald Trump in the White House and just truly caring about the American people, and I've never seen anything like what I saw there. And I will say that when you hear these stories about Donald Trump saying that, he wanted to shoot people, Americans on the streets, those were some of the darkest days for those of us working in national security, was trying to figure out how we navigate that in great horror, because never in a million years did I think that I would ever hear a president of the United States saying, why don't we just shoot them? And he was talking about our own people. When it gets dangerous and I get the threats, I think about my commitment in my career, and I feel like this is just another phase of it, I guess, is in a very different way. It's just talking truthfully about how we've got to get away from this extremism, because it is detrimental to our communities, and it's hurting our families. Some of our families, I still have Trump supporters. Dinner conversations are tough, and I just want a future where we can get back to civility and not be driving this hateful rhetoric that's dangerous to our cities, our communities, with someone who truly does not stand for anything of substance, but is just doing the fear-mongering and extremism that Donald Trump does.
Olivia Troy worked on national security and homeland security issues at the National Counterterrorism Center, the United States Department of Energy Office of Intelligence and Counterintelligence, and the Department of Homeland Security Office of Intelligence and Analysis. You went on to work for the Office of the Vice President of the United States as the Homeland Security and Counterterrorism Advisor to Vice President Mike Pence, and also served on the White House's Coronavirus Task Force. First, thank you for your service. Next, thank you for your courage. And finally, thank you so very much for your call. We appreciate you, Olivia.
Oh, thank you so much, Sherwin.
All right, have a good weekend. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Add a little inspiration and education to your classroom. Junior Achievement of Wisconsin is looking to connect with teachers, school administrators, parents, or even grandparents to bring our hands-on learning programs in financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship to your school. Learn how we can help set your students up for success. Visit wisconsin.ja.org to connect. Junior Achievement, inspiring, preparing, succeeding.
Hardworking family businesses, ambitious entrepreneurs, relationship builders, and job creators. Businesses like yours are the heart of Wisconsin, and Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation lives to help you realize your vision. Join them for Marketplace Wisconsin, the Governor's Conference on Diverse Business Development. It will be held on December 11th and 12th at the Baird Center in Milwaukee and virtually on the 10th. Presented by WEDC, Marketplace Wisconsin is a place for minority, women, LGBTQ+, veteran-owned and small businesses to network, explore government contracting, and grow. You keep our state moving with construction, janitorial services, logistics, transportation, technology, medical services, and more. And Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation wants to help propel your success too. Let's look forward together. Register for Marketplace Wisconsin today at marketplacewisconsin.com. That's marketplacewisconsin.com.
Wisconsin is as hard-working of a place as you'll ever find. There's a sense of pride, community, and work ethic that's second to none. People here are tough, but even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. At Gruber Law Offices, we won't stop fighting for you and your family. We've been here and will continue to be here for as long as you need us. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
It's 1017 The Truth. Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Get the look you want for your home with customizable windows and doors from Pella. The durability of materials gets tested. They open and close doors, latches, and shades tens of thousands of times. That's to ensure they last for years to come. Pella offers custom colors and innovative features like shades between the glass. Right now, get 0% interest up to 36 months. Certain restrictions apply. Ends October 31st. Get started today at PellaWI.com.
Gruber Law Offices presents Thanalysis.
That's what we called here, bubbler. That's what you call it, a bubbler? You called a bubbler.
A podcast from Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
I say thank you as a family. He's not here to represent, but I'll say thank you.
Also supported by Carbless, premium ready-to-drink cocktails.
Okay, you know what? Let's go to the animal facts.
And Potawatomi Casino Hotel in Milwaukee.
All those games we had were such close games. That was the crazy part.
Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Number 3, efforts for their religious instruction both in Great Britain and America year by year during this period. Having brought distinctly to view the multitude of people introduced amongst us in the inscrutable providence of God, the original stock being in a state of absolute heathenism, we may inquire into the efforts made for their religious instruction. 1673, Mr. Baxter published his Christian Directory, in which he has a chapter of directions of those masters in foreign plantations who have Negroes and other slaves, being a solution of several cases about them. The first direction calls upon masters to, quote, understand well how far your power over your slaves extendeth and what limits God hath set thereto. Remember that they have immoral souls. They are equally capable of salvation, with yourselves, and therefore you have no power to do anything which shall hinder their salvation. Remember that God is their absolute owner, and that you have none but a derived and limited propriety in them, and that they and you are equally under the government of God and law, that God is their reconciled tender Father, and if they be as God doth love them as well as you, and that they are the redeemed ones of Christ, therefore so use them as to preserve Christ's right to have an interest in them. The second direction, remember you are in Christ's trustees or the guardians of their souls, and that the greater your power is over them, the greater your charge is of them and your duty for them. So must you exercise both your power and love to bring them to the knowledge and the faith of Christ and to the just obedience of God's commands. The third, so serve your necessities by your slaves as to prefer God's interest and their spiritual and everlasting happiness. Teach them the way to heaven and do all for their souls, which I have before directed you to do for all other servants. Though you may make some difference in their labor and diet and clothing, yet none as to the furthering of their salvation. If they be infidels, use them so as tendeth to win them to Christ, the love of religion, by showing them that Christians are less worldly, less cruel, and less passionate, and more wise and charitable and holy and meek than any other persons are. Be to them this is all scanned, so it's really hard to read. I think it says, be to them that they, by their cruelty and covetedness, do scandalize even slaves and hinder their conversations and salvation. The last direction. Make it your chief end in buying and using slaves to win to Christ and save their souls. Do not only endeavor it on the buy when you have the first consulted your own commodity, but make this more of your end than your commodity itself. That makes no sense. And let their salvation be far more valued by you than their service, and carry yourself to them as those that are sensible, that they are redeemed with them by Christ from the slavery of Satan, and may live with them in the liberty of the saints in glory. Let's talk to Miss Shack. You're on 101.7 The Truth.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, good Comer Brand, and good morning to all the good black and white people of Milwaukee in Wisconsin. Sherwin, Professor, you taking us to church, but before political church, before I get to Holy Ghost dancing over here, I had you on the speakerphone coming into Planet Fitness, right? And so, because a lot of people here listen to you. So just before I went into the ladies' locker room, saw this white lady. I'm not going to talk about her floral granny panties, but she was listening.
You just did talk about her floral granny panties. Why are you looking at panties?
She was right in my eyesight. So guess what? They were that big. But guess what? You were just coming on right just before your guest speaker. Lord have mercy, she got an eyeful. And when she started flowing up and listening, I was like, anyway, I was having a moment. But anyway, Sherwin, man, you took us to political church today. You got me. Man, I'm trying to tell you, this is what I was studying when I was taking my 4th degree in anthropology, and I was like a year away from graduation, but my mom, my dad, and my brother died, and of course you know how that goes. But that was going to be my thesis, man. Oh, man, I'm trying to tell you that you are a genius, and I'm not trying to gaslight you or blow smoke up the butt. Because the way you just said, you just started reading this 300-page book, and you've been able to internalize it and regurgitate it and dispense it in a way that is articulate, that we understand it, and it's just genius, man, just genius. I'm speaking to you as an educator, and I wish I was as articulate, but I get so passionate and emotional in it, and so when I hear the words, it's like, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm feeling. So, yes, this is superb.
Thanks.
Have a great weekend.
All right, you too, Linda. All right, no more floral granny panties. The works of this eminent servant of God had an extensive circulation, and these directions may have been productive of much good on the plantations of those owners into whose hands they fell. 1680, 44 years after the settlement of Connecticut, and the Assembly forwarded answers to the inquiries of the Lords of the Committee of Colonies, wherein they say, quote, there are but few servants and fewer slaves, not above 30 in the colony. There come sometimes 3 or 4 blacks from Barbados, which are sold for $221 each, whatever that means. Great care is taken of the instruction of the people in the Christian religion, by ministers catechizing and preaching twice every Sabbath, and sometimes on lecture days, and also by masters of families instructing their children and servants, which the law commands them to do. 1701. The Society for the Propagation of the Gospel in Foreign Parts. That was incorporated under William III on the 16th day of June, 1701, and the first meeting of the society under its charter was the 27th of June of that same year. Thomas, Lord Bishop of Canterbury, primate and metropolitan of all England, was appointed by His Majesty the first president. This society was formed with the view primarily of supplying the deinstitution of religious institutions and privileges amongst the inhabitants of North American colonies, members of the established Church of England, and secondarily of extending the gospel to the Indians and the Negroes. It had been preceded by a company incorporated by Charles II in 1661 for the propagation of the gospel amongst heathen nations of New England and the parts adjacent in America, which, however, did not accomplish much in the design, for the times then present and the necessities of the colonies being too narrow. The Honorable Robert Boyle was the first president of this company, and it was his connection with the society which led him to a deeper interest in defense and propagation of the Christian religion, and he, therefore, left in his will an annual salary forever for the support of 8 sermons in the year for providing the Christian religion against notorious infidels, and he requires that the preachers employed, quote, shall be assisting to all companies and encouraging them in any undertaking for the propagating the Christian religion in foreign parts. That is amazing. So this man leaves in his will money for 8 essentially preachers to continue instructing the slaves on the ways of Christianity. And here's something that existed then that it still exists right now. They saw us as heathens because we were not Christian like them. Currently, black believers see non-believers as heathens. You got that from the slave master because that's what he thought about you. Take a break, come back, talk to a couple of folks on line 1 and line 2. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, and we've spent a good portion of today talking about, and I've been reading from a book written by Reverend Dr. Charles Colcock Jones called The Religious Instruction of the Negroes in the United States, and comparing and contrasting the theme and motivations then and how the themes and motivations still exist right now to this day. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
1017 The Truth is the proud home of Marquette Hilltoppers football. Tune in Friday night as the Hilltoppers look to extend their winning streak to 6 in a row as they host the Brookfield Central Lancers. The football action kicks off at 7 p.m. on 1017 The Truth. Marquette University High School football is presented by Gruber Law Offices and sponsored by Capital Insurance Agency, Magic Productions, Annex Wealth Management, C.G. Schmidt, Leff's Lucky Town, Boyle Frederickson Intellectual Property Law, and Marquette University High School.
People across Wisconsin are enjoying the rewards, stability, and flexibility of a career in healthcare. Why not you? Wish Caregiver Careers can get you started as a certified direct care professional. You'll learn the skills you need to make life better for older adults or people with a disability. All training is free and online. Plus, earn $500 in bonuses. Start your new career. Sign up today at WishCaregiverCDCP.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Check out Jammin' with Juice, where it's amazingly juicy.
I'm going to tell y'all straight up, though. Y'all little brothers, y'all little sisters, y'all doing good. I don't think y'all know how good y'all doing it.
Thank you.
Because y'all, it's hard to get the young people to talk about these important issues.
Like, let's say you washing your body, you washing your hair, you wash your face, you cleaned your ears, you got behind them ears, you brushed your teeth, your makeup off, you done exfoliated, you done shaved. Why not brush your teeth in the shower? Why not use the bathroom in the shower? As we wrap up the show with a bow, I'm flaming, bitch. You was looking up to Steve Harvey.
Yeah. He was a positive black man, you know.
I feel it.
Had a good show. He had some swag.
He was a music teacher.
He was the music teacher.
You love music.
Yeah. Shoot, he was messing around with the principal. Like, come on now.
He thought he was playing.
Yeah. He's a king of comedy. This man doing it. I want to be like Steve. What's up, my jammer?
What's up, guys? You know what? I just want to say you guys are the best thing rocking, and 12 noon. You guys just bring so much energy to 12 o'clock. I don't even be wanting to eat my lunch because I want to hear what Big Damn and Naughty Juice got to say.
You sitting at the crib, you watching TV, and your life's passing you by. You keep procrastinating over and over. Maybe I'll go to school next year, maybe next month. No, do it right now. You can do it after work, or you can do it before work. Just do whatever you need to do to graduate. There is definitely a line when it comes to just enhancing your beauty versus like completely altering your entire body in more ways than one to look completely different.
From the 414 to everyone across the globe, Jammin' with Juice is here for you. Check out Jammin' with Juice daily on YouTube.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome back. Let's talk to Bob. You're on 1017 The Truth.
Hello, Sherwin. What I wanted to say was the more Republicans you have on your show that deny Trump will make us move ahead a little at a time, not as much as we should, but a little at a time. And that's a wonderful thing. That's a deep thing. And, you know, you talked about church. You know, I believe slavery would cause us to know the word. We have a bigger gift than reparations by knowing who created us and who makes our heart beat.
So you think that slavery was a good thing because that is how we got to know Christ? Are you saying that?
I didn't say it was a good thing. I said it was a thing that enabled us to know about God. So what? They didn't act like it should be in the Bible. Because God is a mystery. He lets you go so far, but you will reap what you sow.
So is slavery justified because it got us to know Christ, us heathen blacks from the western shores of Africa, because of slavery and Christianity and subjugating our humanity? Like, at least some good came out of it. We got to know Christ. Are you saying something similar to that?
I am. It's bigger than reparations. So I am saying something similar to that.
So slavery was the delivery system that we needed to understand Christ in the Bible, right? Is that? I'm trying to get what you're saying.
Not that we need it.
No.
It's just like Cain killed Abel. And, you know, I mean, things happen, and why they happen, it's a mystery. And you say, God, I do things in the community so much every day. Why aren't you having me lead like Martin Luther King? And he don't. And then a man who don't do nothing hardly in the community has as much pull as Martin Luther King. And why is that? Because God is. He do what he want to do. You can't ask a man that created you. You can, and you can wonder why. But ask to yourself, why does my heart continue to beat without nobody? Now,
have you ever asked yourself, Bob, why a group of people, especially in this country who are overwhelmingly Christian, have endured tremendous suffering, but another group of people has not really endured suffering? In fact, they have created and caused a lot of suffering, but they still believe in the same Christianity. Has that ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, they can do it, but they're going to reap what they sow.
Bob, no, they're not. Bob, they're not reaping what they're sowing. In fact, we're reaping what they're sowing. Because they're praying against us, and I think their prayers are working.
They're going to reap what they sow when they arrive, because some people can smoke till they're 90, and some people can't smoke until they're 40.
Right.
They're going to reap when they arrive.
With you. Maybe we should just stick to the saxophone. Maybe you call in on Monday, play the saxophone. Maybe we do.
Oh, there we go again.
Bob, I said call, not come. Don't come.
Sherwin.
What?
Sherwin, that's what last point I wanted to make, if you don't mind.
Make it very quick.
Music.
When you call, Bob, my patience is on 10. By the time I get off the phone with you, I'm at like a 0.5.
Well, I don't want to run your blood pressure up high. But listen, I want one or two people that like me to understand I'm okay, but I don't need to call in anymore because Sherwin has not allowed me to redeem myself.
There's no redeeming. There goes my patience. There's no redeeming.
To redeem myself, at least one time.
No.
I mean,
Bob, no means no. What part of no do you not understand? Do not bring your tail up here with that saxophone ever again. Go on Tori's show.
No, you're
and Terry. Go on DT and Telly's show. Don't come on my show. No, you ain't going to be my liability. Parking your damn car in the middle of an intersection. You ain't coming here during my show, man.
Your conscience will say, I guess I got to let him have one more time, and I did mess him up, and
guess what, Mr. Hardhead? Now you can't even call and play the saxophone. Keep talking.
Huh?
Now you can't even call and play the saxophone. Now you can't even call. You can't come here, and you can't call. You keep it up, you may not be able to call here never again no more. I'll block your number, man. I'll block you.
No, I'm not calling no more because. Not because there's only one or two people that like me anyway.
Then you know what? Then find those people, Bob, and play. You know what? Next time Vanessa calls you or texts you, play saxophone for Vanessa. Meet her at a park somewhere on a nice, warm fall day and play your little saxophone for Vanessa. She likes you.
Your conscience should bother you in about 2 months, 3 months when I haven't called.
No,
and you're going to say,
I'll be very happy.
I'm okay,
I'll probably
people.
lose weight.
I'm okay. I'm okay, people.
All right, Bob.
All right, so understand. Don't get mad. I'm okay. It's just that I'm not calling because your conscience haven't got to that point yet. To say, I'm going to let him have one more time and redeem himself.
Bob, do you understand that you were literally telling me that you were boycotting calling my show because I won't let you come here and play the saxophone, but you're not understanding how that's a good thing for me?
Well, it won't be a good thing when your conscience starts bothering you because I was
fine. I have a feeling my conscience will be just fine, but I appreciate you, Bob. Thank you very much. Too bad we're not going to hear from you anymore. It was fun while it lasted. I'm literally exhausted after talking to him, man. Like, I'm out of breath right now. Let's talk to Russ. Hello, Russ. I hope you don't want to come here and play the saxophone.
No, sir.
All right, thank you.
I was just listening to some of your biblical Bible stuff that you were talking from the 1600s or whatever. And
I'm reading from a book that was a set of instructions of how you indoctrinate slaves to be Christians.
Oh, okay.
The religious instruction of the Negroes. Oh, you thought I was reading from the Bible? No, there's a book that tells you how you use the Bible to make slaves less heathen and more submissive and subservient.
Oh, gotcha. Because what I thought about was like my son and his wife. They're like really extremely religious, and sometimes I go and challenge them. Sometimes, and I was telling my son about there's this thing called the Slave Bible. Have you heard of those?
No.
The Slave Bible, where they only have bits and pieces of the Bible in them for like the slave ministers and stuff to read to the congregation or whatever that they're assigned to read to their little congregation or whatever back in the slavery days. My son was saying, well, I believe everything the Bible's saying, this and that, the Bible's not wrong. I said, well, did the Bible come from heaven or did it come out of a factory? And he goes, well, but it came to practice or whatever. Okay, long story short, I mentioned some things in the Bible that I had a question, that I had a problem with. And one of them was, well, a couple of things. One thing was, it says in there, I don't know what part of the Bible, but it goes, something like thou shalt obey thy earthly master. It's in there. I don't know exactly where it is. And I asked him, do you have a master somewhere on earth here? Or, I was asking him, so, and not only that, it was another thing that said, you have to, thou shalt obey the laws of the land. And I asked him, I said, if it says obey the laws of the land, that means Rosa Parks disobeyed God. Is that what that means? Because the laws of the land said that we had to sit at the back of the bus.
That's exactly what that means, yes.
So Rosa Parks disobeyed God.
That's correct. And her earthly master. No, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I was just trying to explain to them in this way that I think the Bible itself was added to by man basically to control, in some cases, to control people. I mean, my father was a minister, so I'm was born and raised in the church, so.
All right.
But I started questioning as I became a teenager, and started questioning some things I was reading.
You get in trouble when you question that stuff. But Russ, I got to take a break, like very badly.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks.
All right, Russ. Okie doke. All right, now. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, the election is less than a month away, and we are excited about another episode of The Truth on Politics on Tuesday, October 15th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This show engages in a thoughtful debate on the local and national elections and the policies which impact our black communities the most. Do not miss The Truth on Politics on Tuesday, October 15th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with Dr. Ken Harris, Tori Lowe, Ben Jamin, Damian Elzie, and Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth and streaming live on YouTube.
Vice President Kamala Harris.
I get it. The cost of rent, groceries, and utilities is too high. So here's what we're going to do about it. We will lower housing costs by building more homes and crack down on landlords who are charging too much. We will lower your food and grocery bills by going after price gougers who are keeping the cost of everyday goods too high.
Kamala Harris's economic plan is focused on lowering costs for families, so you can keep more of your paycheck. That starts with the cost of housing. For first-time home buyers, she's offering $25,000 in down payment assistance. To build wealth, her plan offers up to $50,000 in new startup tax deductions. This is exactly how we can build generational wealth and strengthen our community, so we can get the chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
You work hard for your paycheck. You should get to keep more of it. As president, I'll make that my top priority.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Everywhere in America, families are struggling with an all-too-common problem.
She missed school again.
Again?
Something is going on. She's secretive.
Should we check her backpack?
When you suspect a family member has a substance use disorder, it's hard to know what to do next.
We need to talk to her.
Starting the conversation is the first step to getting help. Visit SAMHSA at samhsa.gov/families for tips, or for treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP.
How much does it cost to talk to Gruber Law Offices after a serious crash? It's free. Yes, free. As in, it won't cost you anything to speak with us. Not sure if you have a case? Call our team at Gruber Law Offices today. Your first call and your first consultation are always free. And you'll never pay us a fee until we win your case. If you've been seriously injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
We've teamed up with Associated Bank for our Black-owned business give back. If you want $6,000 worth of free advertising for your business for 3 months, go to blackbusinessgiveback.com. We want to rebuild our community's backbone through exposure on 1017 The Truth. For official contest rules and to sign up, go to blackbusinessgiveback.com. Associated Bank, member FDIC. Tonight, the Marquette Hilltoppers look to extend their winning streak to 6 games in a row as they host the Brookfield Central Lancers. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. Friday Night Football on The Truth is presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. And tomorrow at 10 a.m., I will be joined by Benjamin Klatt on another episode of Community Heartbeat. We're going to talk about the importance of men's health, and prostate cancer screenings. It's not just a show, it's a movement dedicated to bringing our community together through wellness. So don't miss Community Heartbeat tomorrow on 1017 The Truth at 10 a.m. Hosted by and presented by Outreach Community Health Centers. I'm the host. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. on 1017 The Truth. What have we learned today? See, you guys are going back and forth in the YouTube chat. Yeah, the idea of religion and Christianity, it triggers black folks. It should, because of how it was, and we justified a whole bunch of different ways. And again, I'm not saying you're bad or anything like that, because a lot of people get mad at me because I have a different viewpoint on it. I know how it was delivered to us and who it was delivered by. It's almost like somebody being raped and be like, well, at least they taught me about sex. And that's a fair assessment, because that is how Christianity was forced upon us. We were savage heathens that needed Christ and needed Christianity, mostly so we would become much more docile, but also so we could see our masters as God. And it's worked brilliantly. And now we just get a little bit more creative to justify why we are still Christians. And I'm not telling people not to be a Christian, but also, don't we know right from wrong? Don't we know good versus evil without having to come from a book? There is I looked it up. I talked about it before, but it's just a reminder. This is from, where's this article from? So the company is called Zandervan. Zandervan is the largest publishers of Bibles on the planet. They do something like $500 million a year, because they publish and distribute Bibles. A Bible is a very popular book. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's very popular. It's very well read. People like it a lot. Churches have them. I read somewhere that a public school system somewhere in the South just ordered a whole bunch of Trump Bibles. You know, Donald Trump is selling Bibles too. And now they want to have Bibles available in public schools, which is not just illegal, but unconstitutional, but whatever. It's a popular book and a lot of people buy it. Some of y'all have Bibles in your car. Some of you have Bibles at home, et cetera, et cetera. Ricky says hotels have Bibles. It's in that drawer. That's where it is. If you need to do a little quick prayer real quick, read a little Corinthians so it can tell you that you are the one that's supposed to lead your wife. The company is called Zandervan. It's the world's largest publisher of Bibles. For 23 years, the News Corp family has included the leading seller of best-selling books in history. So the News Corp is Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox News. I'm just saying, just know that when you or others buy Bibles, you are funding Rupert Murdoch's family, who owns Fox News. Don't know if you guys ever listen to Fox News, but they're not very nice to people that look like me and you. And so when you buy a Bible, and that's not random. And for some of y'all, that's probably fine, because it's ordained by God that Fox News, that essentially hates black people and brown people, and they're the ones that reinforce the lie that Haitians eat cats and dogs. Just know that that is the same network that obviously supports Donald Trump unequivocally. Just know that when you buy a Bible, you are funding that. However, it may be ordained from God because God says it's okay to fund Fox News with the purchase of the Bible, and then I'm not going to argue with you, but you got to know. One thing I've learned about black people in this endeavor in particular is that we have no benefit from ignoring the truth. They do. It does not benefit us. It benefits them. When we stop ignoring the truth, we begin to empower ourselves and dispower them. And when I say them, it is the collection, it is the cohort of white supremacy that still rules us, not just here, but damn near wherever we go. It's why third world countries in the Caribbean are so dirt poor. That is white supremacy. In fact, white supremacy was created by England. They created it, and they still maintain it. Now, they had to have some tools. They had to have some help. They had to have a manuscript. And we still read that manuscript to this day. What have we learned this week? That Kamala Harris has got a whole bunch of Republicans that are now supporting her and endorsing her campaign because even they know that she is better than Donald Trump. Have a good weekend. I'll see you next time.
Truth Nation, join us live for the Truth Summit on Saturday, October 26th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the 3rd Street Market Hall. This exclusive in-person roundtable will examine the state of finances, education,